Jones. Maybe not Chris Jones, since he's not practicing. I don't know. And whichever player they will throw up at the podium today. We'll talk about those press conferences. Then we'll play some sports or leisure today in the 1 o'clock hour. Correct, Sterling? You good with the leisure?
Very leisurely.
Okay. You have Christmas vacation questions left over from last week?
No,
I know
we're
you
done
spent
with Christmas.
You spent a long time on those questions. I know that you really worked hard on those questions. I want to make sure that they get used.
I just found it funny that I had a whole Christmas movie segment that I came up with, and then Jason sends me his Christmas vacation ones.
Oh, that was me that did that. I'm sorry. I forgot. I
Jason
I came up with all those
was
questions.
really grinding on vacation for that.
I was not. Look, on my vacation, there was no grinding. There's laying around watching football.
No bump and grind, no pretty Ricky. Ricky.
I don't see nothing wrong with that, okay? We were just watching football yesterday. There was at least one good game that took place.
The one that no one thought was going to be good.
You're right about that, man. That's the only game so far that a team has not covered the spread. The favorites are, what, 4, 5, 6? No, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The favorites are 7-0 straight up, 6-1 against the spread.
Yeah.
And we'll see with Notre Dame and Georgia later today, which, by the way, should let you know we have that for you right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The program will go from 2 to 3. Then the Sugar Bowl will take over at 3 o'clock right here on 810. Obviously, the tragic events of Tuesday night that postponed that game to today. They will play that final quarterfinal game, Notre Dame and Georgia, later this afternoon in the city that is still reeling and hurting from what took place on Tuesday night. Hopefully everybody had a safe and fun New Year's that's listening in now, and we'll see what 2025 has to offer. And we'll see if the Chiefs can be 3-time Super Bowl champions. We'll see what the NCAA tournament will look like this Royals season upcoming as we looked back on Monday in the 2024 season. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, 913-912-4810. Let me bring up the text line here so we can get your thoughts throughout the show, 913-912-4810. Sterling, are you good with your New Year's resolution? You told us about those on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So are you good with already getting it going? Because we are 8 days away from Quitter's Day.
Yes. No, and I'm no quitter.
I know that.
So I'm 1 for 1.
Okay.
I went to a cigar bar, but before I did that, I picked up Freddy's on the way.
Good call.
Had a few beers the night before.
Yep.
Thought, hey, let's get this going again. The Freddy's to really soak that grease up, right? It was great. Outstanding. Went to a cigar bar, had a couple cigars.
Great.
Had a nice beer. Then went and ate some wings. Way too many wings.
As you should.
Enough calories to really, bump the belt buckle up a little bit there or loosen it. You know how your last belt buckle I'm rocking right now.
You're trying to gain 2 belt buckles while everybody is going to lose.
Yes,
a couple
correct.
Of those notches.
Had some fried pickles.
Good for you.
So my
fried.
and did not work out.
Great.
So I am
Slept in?
Oh yeah, I went to bed at
Awesome.
8:30 that night. It was lovely.
Yes.
So I'm 1 for 1.
1 for 1 so far on the days of you with your news resolution of picking up bad habits.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to be doing.
Work out less.
Well, that's the thing.
Drink more,
everybody's
eat more.
dropping them. You're just picking them up.
Someone
It's
has
just
to do
smart.
it.
Right.
Someone has to do it.
It's the hero we didn't know we needed. He's right here in front of us, is Sterling Holmes. I've always said he's a hero.
Just going against the grain. Yep.
You need a hero.
Holmes, they call me that.
That's nobody calls him that. Call him Trish the Dish. Nobody calls me that. Nobody calls him Hero Holmes for Sterling. 913-912-4810. Where do we want to start today? Want to start with KU West Virginia? Want to start with the Pro Bowl? Dylan says no. Dylan shook his head, said no. We want to start with the Pro Bowl rosters, the college football playoff games.
I
Kansas
like college
City
football
Chiefs.
playoff games.
I
like the college
playoff
because I think that Arizona State-Texas game was an instant classic. That was one of the best college football games I feel like I've watched in a good while.
Especially with what was on the line, right? I mean, we've seen some regular season games that are big games that go to overtimes and double overtimes and things like that. But the first ever college football playoff, when we had been longing for closer games, like wanting to, lamenting the fact that we weren't seeing these close games, these great matchups that are coming down to the wire, and were also well-played games. Because sometimes you can have a close game that isn't a good game. I remember a national championship game with LSU and Alabama. That was a close game. That was a terrible game. This was a close game that was awesome. I think part of the reason it was so good is because you have the country essentially rooting against either Texas or the SEC.
Sure.
Because the team I root for is in the SEC. But I will still always root against Texas.
100%.
There was no SEC allegiance to Texas when they're playing Arizona State.
No.
I don't care what the narrative coming out of that game if Arizona State wins about Big 12 versus SEC. That does not matter. It's horns down forever for me. Okay, and that will be the case. So I think part of it was the country rooting for upstart Arizona State. That team was picked to finish last in the Big 12 this year. And they had the best showing of an underdog in any of these games that we've seen. Because it wasn't just like Indiana fans are like, well, we only lost by 10. Yeah, you were down 24 with like 5 minutes to play. You got a touchdown, an onside kick, and a touchdown. So let's keep perspective here with what that final score was and what happened between the dash.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was this score dash this score. Well, that's a 10-point deficit. Yeah, the dash tells a different story than a 10-point deficit, right? So it was an awesome game. It was an entertaining game. And they still are the only team, Texas, so far in the college football playoff to not cover. Whether that matters or not, they moved on. There were so many takeaways from this game in how great it was to watch. And I don't know that I want to start with one of my annoyances of the game. I think I'll start with getting a chance to see a special player that can change a program. Because Cam Skattebo is a program changer.
Yes.
Like the conversation going into that game was there was an unnamed team that offered Quinn Ewers $6 million to not go to the NFL, to come to their team. And I'm watching that game, and I'm going, there's a $6 million player on the field. He's just not playing quarterback for Texas. He's the running back for Arizona State. Now he has no more years of eligibility, so life is about timing.
Yeah.
He probably got taken care of with money this year, but not nearly to the degree that Cam Skattebo would be taken care of if he had 1 year of eligibility left. Arizona State would have to give up tons of money, or Cam just say, no, I love Arizona State. They gave me a chance. I'll stay here maybe for less money than what I could probably get somewhere else. But that's a program changer. What he does on the field for that team, you take Cam Skattebo away. What's Arizona State this year? 7-win team? 8-win team?
Oh, if that. He had 130 yards on the ground and a touchdown.
29 carries, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns.
80 yards.
86 yards receiving on 7 receptions.
A 42-yard on 4th and 2. It decides Tyreek down there somewhere. I'm gonna throw.
Right.
I mean,
bleep it.
He was just insane. Like I understand at times he did go off the field because of just exhaustion.
Yeah.
I'm like, if
He
there's
threw
ever,
up.
if there's ever, yeah, that's my point though. If there's ever a guy to be exhausted, it's this guy. He was the team. He did everything. And again, Levitt was solid in the game, quarterback for ASU, but it really was Skattebo who was getting everything going. And they were down, what was it, 14-3, 24-5, 17-5, and was it 24-5? Whatever it was after the safety. But then it was really Skattebo that got him back in the game. I just could not get over the impact of one player. Not a quarterback, a running back. Not named Ashton Genty, but named Cam Skattebo.
Yeah, he had a total with rushing, receiving, and passing 269 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game. 141 on the ground, 86 through the air, 42 passing, or 86 receiving.
I wish that would have been a receiving touchdown because then you would have the CMC line of throw, rush, catch.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. And there are 32 teams in the NFL that would love to have him on their team. I don't know where he's going to get drafted. I don't know what his NFL career is going to look like. But
is he not a souped-up Cody Schrader?
He reminded. That's funny. I was thinking about that. I was like, you know what? What if Cody Schrader had an opportunity on a big stage like that? What would the reaction be from him? Skattebo's better than Cody Schrader.
Yes.
So he's Cody Schrader, with Nas, in the car. Like he's and a bigger, stronger, player.
He's 5'6", but those legs.
Yeah, he's got tree trunks, man.
We all were sitting there at the cigar bar, and we said, how many people could
So you really did go to the cigar bar?
Oh, yeah, out up north. It was great. It was lovely. Can you not hear my voice right now?
I get it.
Yeah, it's a little scratchy. We had some fun. And everyone there was rooting for ASU, by the way. It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was a great time. But we all were trying to figure out how many people could Scatterboo leg press.
The bar.
Because we're trying to figure out, there's 6 of us guys, and we're like, well, we're all about 175, 180-ish.
I got to look that up. Keep going. I want to look this up.
Yeah, we looked it up. And the
so you did look it up as to what he can leg press?
No, but like the average athlete leg press, and we came to the conclusion he probably could. We think Scatterboo.
The answer is he could?
The answer was yeah, Scatterboo probably could leg press 5 to 6 adult males.
I need somebody, whether that's the text line, to look up and see if there's anywhere that has public information of what Scatterboo squats or leg presses.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable to find out because he does have
That's 900 pounds.
900 is a leg press?
Like 180 times 5, 900.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we said. So it's 5 of us guys, about 180. We said it was about 900. We said we think Scatterboo could leg press
900?
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
Us 5 dudes. We all just lay down.
If I ever did leg day, then I would have some sort of a context and a reference point of what 900 pounds is if somebody can leg press 900. But the fact that I typically skipped leg day, sort of the beach muscles, you know what I mean? Sun's out, guns out, that I don't have a reference point as to the 900 pounds leg press.
It's a lot.
Well, I know it's a lot. I'm just saying, is it to where it's like, that's absurd. He's not going to leg press 900 pounds. Like if somebody was like, oh, he's bench pressing 1,500 pounds. Like, no, he's not.
Yeah, no.
Okay, his body would crush under the weight.
Yeah.
Okay,
his arms would snap.
Yes, exactly. That's not happening. Okay. Well, he bench pressed 400 pounds 35 times. I saw it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're making it up. So I have those references because, again, skipping leg day. That means it's arms, chest, and back day. And abs, of course.
I just skip the gym in general
that makes
and
sense.
go to the cigar bar.
Picking up bad habits. Good for you, man. Good for you.
I'm more or less continuing them, I think. But
that
still
that
counts.
Makes sense. You're doubling down. You're like Cody Schrader to Cam Scatterboo. That's what you're doing now that it's the new year. Here's my so we got to that. And the fact that he's the only offensive MVP on a losing team in Peach Bowl's history. So that's pretty cool that in the press conference, post-game press conference, they're sad, they're crying, and one of the representatives of the Peach Bowl walks in and hands him the offensive MVP award.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool, right? 5 minutes, 6 minutes left to go in the game, I think, is when those votes have to be tabulated, which, I know that they have to be turned in.
Yeah.
So if you're in the press box, you've got to turn those votes in with like 5 minutes left to go in the game. There's a lot of game left to be played, man.
Yeah.
A lot of things that can be done. Like if Quinn Ewers went crazy in the last 5 minutes, he did there at the end, but he had struggled for a good portion. But if Quinn Ewers all of a sudden went 15 for 15 in clutch moments and throwing touchdowns, and Texas and Arizona State were going back and forth, and it wasn't Scatterboo, it was Levitt versus Ewers, and Ewers went crazy, well, then would Scatterboo have been the offensive MVP? I don't know. Probably not. But with 5 minutes left, that's what it was. He was the offensive MVP, incredibly deserving. It was an amazing performance, and he's a program changer. I think that's a guy to where if you're going out and spending a lot of money in NIL, that's somebody that you would spend $6 million on because he can change the program. He has no years of eligibility left, so he's going to the NFL. Tyler Warren was awesome for Penn State. 6 for 63, 2 touchdowns. Mossed a couple of guys throughout the game. I don't know how you guard that guy.
Dude, Golden
6'6",
was
260.
Nuts, man. I mean,
so
we've heard about Bond, right, for Texas.
Yeah, word is.
Golden was a little bit of a, at least for a lot of us there, we were a little surprised by the impact he had, just the amount of ridiculous catches. I mean, the strong hands. We're all sitting here going, that is an NFL wide receiver right there. Golden is going to, he is again, stylistically, he's not going to be Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, but the fact that he can go up and get those balls and hold those balls in college, that translates to me.
See, here's the thing. We've seen so many wide receiver performances throughout the years in college and translating to the NFL. Dude, Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State is a freshman. He was in high school last year. He would be a top 10 pick this year. Yeah. He would be a top 10 pick next year. Instead, he's going to be a top 10 pick in the 2027 draft. He's got 2 more years of keeping this up. Him and Ryan Williams with Alabama.
Yeah.
Like Jeremiah Smith would be the number 1 wide receiver in this draft. He'd be the number 1 wide receiver in next year's draft. He's going to compete with another man to be the number 1 wide receiver in the 2027 draft. Like, that's how good those guys are as true freshmen. And Jeremiah Smith was unbelievable. We saw phenomenal individual performances yesterday. Good on Will Howard. a guy who played at Kansas State and went to Ohio State and, faced some criticism the last time they played Oregon, with the fact that, not having the idea of time, where you were on the field, timeouts, things like that. But he goes, 17 of 26, 319 yards and 3 touchdowns. 17 completions, 319 yards.
He was great early
three
on, too.
touchdowns.
I mean, early on, he was just dicing up that Oregon defense.
They smoked him. I mean, that was as much of an avalanche as you'll see against an undefeated number 1 team in America, against Ohio State. Now, we can get into the path for Oregon, and they shouldn't have been playing Ohio State because of the absurdity of the bye week for the teams that won the conference, as opposed to just, okay, this is the 6th team in the country, and your first game, if you're Oregon, is playing number 6 in America, even though they're the number 8 seed in the tournament. But I want to talk about this. It's a little bit of an annoyance to watching the Arizona State and Texas game. I am no Texas defender, and I am not an SEC over everything, talk, right? Because I grew up watching the Big 12, Big 8 and Big 12, and rooting against the SEC. Missouri joined the SEC, but it doesn't just change to where I go, oh, no, SEC over everything. I think there's acknowledgement that the SEC is probably the best conference, but it doesn't mean that they are so far and ahead of everybody else that all of these things need to be done in their favor, right? And the college football playoff already proved that by not having Alabama in the playoff. No matter the conversation that was taking place outside of Alabama not being in the playoff and Indiana going and getting getting beat down by Notre Dame. Oh, it's a closer score at the end. But that was the first game, and it was like, see, Indiana didn't deserve to be in here. We didn't know that there would be a lot of blowouts in these college football playoffs.
And by the way, Indiana did deserve it over Alabama. Don't lose to Oklahoma and Vanderbilt.
Yes, Oklahoma no-showed Alabama. I mean, that's what they did. Alabama no-showed Oklahoma. They had their chance. They did not show up in that game. They didn't go to the college football playoff. That's fine. But I find it interesting, Sterling, that on my timeline during the game, look, I think it was targeting. I think targeting should have been called. They were at the 47-yard line. 15 yards doesn't put them in field goal range yet. On the verge, you're about the 40-yard line. Looking at 50. It's close. Could they get 10 or 15 more yards? Yes. Could they have kicked a field goal and won the game? Yes. But the conversation of the only reason Texas won was because that wasn't called.
No.
There was an interception earlier in the game in which Texas receiver goes up and it's intercepted in front of him, and an Arizona State defender takes his head off, and it was not called.
Those were different plays.
I think both of them could have been called targeting. Definitely the second one was.
The second one was, I thought, the definition of targeting. The first one, the guy I actually think tried to hold up, and it did go shoulder into helmet.
He still launched upwards to the helmet to a defenseless receiver. That's still the definition. I think both of them should have been called. The more egregious one probably there at the end. But the point being, on my timeline, and this is what it's hard to square the circle here for me, because I have an issue with the false narratives out there.
Sure.
They have a problem trying to not respond to people that say, the Chiefs are lucky because of the refs. The league is out to help the Chiefs. They've got the refs on their side. They're only winning because they get these penalties at the end of the game that are always fortunate. You hear the same absurd commentary of, well, it's not the number. It's not the quantity of the penalties for the Chiefs. It's when they happen.
Yeah.
And then they ignore the fact that the Chiefs are 15th in the NFL in expected points added per penalty in the fourth quarter of a one-score game.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter because anecdotally there was that one time that I saw that one thing that I think went for the Chiefs that should have went the other way, and I'm also ignoring everything else that would work against my argument.
As one does.
Right. So on my timeline, a bunch of people that argue against that absurd narrative of the fact that the NFL is rigged in favor of the Chiefs. At the same time, tweeting out yesterday about how the college football playoff is rigged for Texas. It's like, well, it's rigged. SEC, it's rigged. Greg Sankey, the SEC, it's rigged for Texas. We know that. They're doing all of this for Texas. That should have been a targeting penalty, but we know why they didn't call that. It's for Texas and the SEC. Well, I remember when Texas was in the Big 12 and Mark Mangino said, you know why that happened. That's right, dollar signs.
Mark Mangino, right?
Mark Mangino. Yeah. What did I say?
No, you're right.
Okay, I said Mark Mangino.
I saw that clip today, and I was like,
Mark Mangino for KU.
BCS,
the
dollar signs.
Dollar signs. The pass interference that was or wasn't called, I can't remember the particulars there, but we know Mark Mangino, after it was over, that play was called or not called or wasn't officiated correctly because of Texas and the BCS and dollar signs for the Big 12. That was Texas in the Big 12. Who was going out of their way to make sure, the Big 12, right? Well, those were Big 12 refs. Well, were the SEC refs last night? Was that what was taking place? Were those SEC refs specifically? No. So it's hard to see people argue. Like, those arguing that the SEC and the college football playoff is rigged for Texas and the SEC, that's what the other fan bases in the NFL sound like, and you're joining that chorus while arguing that the NFL is not rigged for the Chiefs. Those are just NFL refs. Here's the thing. It may just be, Sterling, that referees aren't really all that good at their job. And it's completely random at times.
I also just think
KU gets every call at home except for a terrible backcourt violation that they didn't get called.
I also think that...
Or that was called, I should say.
The refs understood they did not want to potentially end the game.
100%. That's what it was.
I mean, it's not rigged. I think it would have been the same if it was flipped around.
Didn't have the stones to make the call to define a game like that. But here's the thing. By not calling it, they did insert themselves into the game.
I know. It's a lose-lose situation. There's no good answer to it. But that was my entire thought process of why they didn't call it, was they didn't want to have them play too big a factor in a situation like that.
I totally agree.
So,
and the accountability isn't there. And I will give credit to, and I don't know the official's name in the KU West Virginia game, but Bill Self said it after the game, that I think it's okay if an official misses a call, if they can acknowledge that they missed it.
Sure.
And Bill Self said after the game, at the next time out, that official came up to him and said, Bill, my bad. I just missed it. I just missed the call. It's a big call.
Yeah.
It's 2:20 left to go in the game. 6-point game. They have possession. There's still 12 seconds on the shot clock. Yeah. They have the ball. That's a huge play.
Huge.
But at least, at the very minimum, the official says, no, he was over there. I don't care what the replay, I don't care. We called it the way, I saw it this way, and that's why I called it. He went to Bill Self and he said, Bill, I missed it, man. I'm sorry. And Bill Self said, bleep happens. It's what happens.
It's a 40-minute game. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
And Bill Self also said, you know what? We don't put ourselves in that position.
Yeah.
If we aren't in that position to be trailing by 6, if we aren't in a position to where we're down by 1, this is Bill Self talking, when we and us and our, when we're down by 1 for KJ Adams, was it a body? Was it a good wall up by the defender? I don't know, but I'm not going to argue about that right now when we played the way that we did, and it was a miserable offensive performance. I am not going to focus on one call that may or may not have gone our way based on us scoring 20 points in the first half.
Yeah.
There are bigger things. Should it have been targeting? Yeah, absolutely. It was targeting. But I think you nailed it, Sterling. I think the official went there and said, this is targeting, but I don't want the game to be decided on a targeting call, so therefore I'm just going to say play on.
And send it to overtime.
That's a little worse because they had time to replay it.
Yeah.
If KU had time to replay it, it would have been overturned. It would have been KU's ball out of bounds, half court, 12 seconds on the shot clock. That's pretty obvious. But they had time to replay it, and they still went with there is no targeting here. Whether that is for Texas or the SEC, which I don't believe, or what I do believe is that the official said, I don't want to be the story. But instead, they made themselves the story. That's the point of, well, you can't call that late in the game. No, you can call it, because if you don't, now you're inserting yourself. The Bengals Chiefs, it was pass interference. He played through the receiver. If they don't call that, then you are affecting the game by not officiating it correctly. The Super Bowl, James Bradbury, quote, after the game, I held him. I was hoping it wasn't going to be called. I held him. Okay? So if you don't make that call, that play, what did Juju Smith-Schuster do on that play? He ran a perfect route, and he won against Bradbury. And he cut to the outside, and Bradbury was beat. You know why Bradbury knew he was beat? Because he grabbed and held on to him. If you don't make that call, you are affecting the game, because now you're saying Juju Smith-Schuster's route doesn't matter, and him winning that route is inconsequential because we just can't make a call this late in the game. So you're actually giving the advantage to the defense to do whatever they want, because I can't make a call at this time in the game. Juju Smith-Schuster won. He won so much that Bradbury had to hold him, and he was rewarded for it. That's how the game is supposed to be played. That's what the officials are there for. By not calling targeting, they actually did insert themselves into the game by not wanting to be part of the game. And that's where people miss the point about the Chiefs late in the game of this call, that call, this call, that call. Like, that was pass interference. It was also hands to the face on 4th and 6 when the Chiefs converted the play right before that people ignore. By the way, the Chiefs converted that 4th and 6 against the Bengals down to the Bengals' 31-yard line. The pass interference put the Chiefs at the 34-yard line. They lost 3 yards on the exchange of penalties. So it didn't exactly work in the Chiefs' favor. They were both penalties. And the officials called them correctly because not calling them would be putting yourself into the game. I can't make the call at this time.
I knew an SEC official back in the day. I played with his son, and he used to say all the time, if I'm doing my job correctly as an official, I don't know the score or the
100%.
time.
100%.
I don't know either one. I'm just calling a football game. And none of it matters because I'm watching. Is that a hold? Is that a pass interference? Is that
and
targeting?
in real time, I think it's easier. But when you go to that monitor, you know exactly what the
that's true.
What the situation is.
For sure. But in the moment,
in the moment,
call.
because the flag wasn't thrown in the moment. They went to replay it.
That's true.
Because it came down from above. So in the moment, they didn't throw the flag because I think it might have been that part of it. I don't want to make this call at this moment. It comes down from above, and it's like, well, we didn't throw the flag live. It was the exact opposite of what the Mizzou and Iowa game was. I mean,
they thought they were reffing a flag football
that
game.
officiating crew was like, that's a flag for targeting, replay. Not targeting. We are going to throw a kid out of this game, damn it.
Yeah, they wanted so bad.
They were roughing the passer calls. They weren't roughing the passer calls. Mizzou got the benefit of a bad unsportsmanlike late hit out of bounds when the dude didn't do anything.
Both sides got. Again,
was
they thought they were reffing a flag football game where you weren't supposed to tackle anyone.
Got a buddy who's played at U of L, and they're in the SEC or ACC, and I was tweeting at him like, ACC football, like these officials, is this how ACC football is played? Like, I can't imagine that. And he replied to me on tweet. He goes, buddy, you have no idea. And I said, man, it looked like they were just looking for things. He goes, yes, that's the ACC officials. They are looking for things. It's so frustrating to watch. People around the ACC are tired of it. I'm like, I got one glimpse of it in one game, and I don't think I could handle watching every game like that. And he's like, dude, it's awful. It's awful in the ACC. It's so much. And he's like, I played, and I can't imagine playing like that, not knowing how can I play physical football because I might be called for targeting. Thank God they now go and replay it.
Yeah.
And, you can take that off the board. And you can take the personal foul 15-yard penalty off the board, too, which is good.
But they couldn't on the roughing, on the
late hits and the roughing and things like that.
The quarterback one they couldn't, but they took it away against when it would have helped Mizzou on the bogus one.
The bogus one, yes. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I want to get into KU and West Virginia, the Pro Bowl rosters, who the Chiefs are and are not playing this week. There is $750,000, Sterling, on the line for a Chiefs player that's probably not going to play in the game. $750,000. Now, odds are he probably wouldn't hit all of the markers to get there. I think he'd certainly hit one of them, but probably not playing. Mahomes not playing. We'll hear from Andy Reid, who said he hasn't figured out any other players, just that Carson Wentz is going to start. So we'll talk about that as well. 913-912-4810. A couple of Missouri player decisions in staying and going. They've got their 5-day window to enter the portal has opened up since Tuesday, so they still have opportunities for the Missouri Tiger players to enter the portal after the bowl game. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next. get into that at some point. But by the way, if you did not know, the Pro Bowl rosters are out. The Chiefs have 5 players, a couple of starters. They have the entire interior offensive line: Tooney, Creed, Trey Smith, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and that is 3 starters: Chris Jones, Creed Humphrey, and Joe Tooney are the starters in the Pro Bowl for the AFC. So they do have 3 starters there. Patrick Mahomes did not make the Pro Bowl this year for the first time in his career as a starter. Going back to 2018, that's okay. He wasn't going to play in the Pro Bowl anyway because they can't play in the Pro Bowl.
But it was fair. I do think
100%.
Josh, Joe, and Lamar this year,
Yeah.
I am 100% okay with that.
Yeah, that's like with Mahomes, you're going to have a year where Mahomes has a down year statistically like he's having this year.
Yes.
And you have 3 incredibly deserving players that all could be considered for MVP of the league that year for Mahomes not to make a Pro Bowl. That was this year. He's not going to play on Sunday. It will be the first time in his career as a starter that he does not reach 4,000 yards passing. He needs 72 yards passing to get to 4,000. He's not going to get there. It's the first time ever. He would be the first quarterback in NFL history to have 7 of his first 8 years be 4,000-yard seasons. That includes the fact that he did not have 4,000 yards passing his rookie year because he only played 1 game. That's not going to be the case for him because he's going to fall 72 yards short of 4,000.
How wild of it is it that Travis Kelce, we've all talked about his down year, how it's brutal. He's 5th. I did this when you were gone. He's 5th in the NFL in yards receiving for a tight end. So it's Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, George Kittle, Jonnu Smith, who has 5 more yards than he does. And he's 5th.
Kelce needs 3 receptions for 100. It'd be the 4th 100 reception season in his career if he got 100.
His worst year is other tight ends' best year.
Absolutely. 100%. A lot of other tight ends.
Not all of them, but like
but a lot of other
a lot of them. His worst.
Yes.
Sam Laporta, great tight end, right? Sam Laporta, we all love him.
Yeah.
He has 150 more yards receiving than Sam Laporta.
That's crazy.
I mean, just
that's crazy. KU loses their home opener for the first time in 3 decades plus. Excuse me. Conference opener. First time in 3 decades plus. Losing to West Virginia by 1 point. Yeah. Down by 18 at one point. A furious comeback to tie the game. And then losing with a free throw there at the end. And that was tough for Flory. He's in a difficult position. And Bill Self said after the game, he probably should have had KJ on 0 because they thought KJ was going to be the one to set the screen. Here's my theory. It didn't matter who KJ was on. Whoever Flory was guarding is who was going to come up and set the screen because that wasn't about a screen and roll to create a mismatch inside for anybody. That was about getting him the ball against a bigger player and against Flory. So whoever he was guarding is who they were going to set the screen for. They wanted that specific matchup. It's a freshman. He played awesome down the stretch, did Flory, and the guy made a great play. Hit the second free throw.
Yeah.
They made it close with the baseball pass down the other end, or football pass, whatever you want to call it, down the other end with KJ. Could have been a foul, could have not been a foul. I don't know. Zeke Mayo's could have been a foul, not a foul with the and one that tied it up. Those things are called, not called.
KJ didn't get the ball off before the. If you're going to say,
I don't know. I don't know
the
that
ball
he
was
did,
still in
to
his
be honest with you.
hands.
Well,
I think
because he was fouled or not fouled. I don't know.
Yeah, however you want to view that. But
point being, I agree with Bill Self when he talks about, not going to spend time talking about a guy that may have appropriately walled up the defender, may have fouled him. I don't know. Because it was about what happened in the first half.
Yeah.
And he said that was the most miserable offensive performance he's seen in Allen Fieldhouse. Is the 3rd fewest points scored in the first half in Bill Self's tenure at KU. 2 other times they scored 18 points. This one was 20. To me, the entire game was about KU and some KU players. They specifically talked about Griffin and Storr, and I don't know what the heck's going on with A.J. Storr.
Yeah.
That guy was going to get 15 shots a game at Wisconsin, and now he's at KU playing 15 minutes and not shooting the ball, not being aggressive
2
in his own head.
He took 2 shots and did not get a single rebound, assist, steal, block, point.
Yeah, Griffin.
Or foul.
Yeah. Started the game, didn't really play in the second half. Griffin was 1 of 3 from behind the arc. That was really it. So they talked about those 2 players. And I think they talked about those 2 players because Bill Self, previewing West Virginia, said those 2 guys are going to be much better now moving forward than they were to this point. And it was not that. They weren't all that good. But this was about KU starting off the game and not ready to play.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ready for a Sunday stroll, and West Virginia was ready for a dogfight. West Virginia got there ready to go, and West Virginia was the team that got in at 2 a.m. because of travel problems. They got in there late, quote, lack of sleep, playing an early afternoon game on New Year's Eve, and going out there and playing the way they did, being 14-point underdogs, taking an 18-point lead. What happened when KU was like, all right, let's leave everything on the floor? They erased 18-point lead against West Virginia and tied the game up. That's what the game could have looked like if KU started the game the way that they did when they finally said, nothing to lose, let's go out and leave it all on the floor. But they didn't do that. And that's where, like, we talk about the Chiefs, we talk about KU, that when West Virginia comes into Allen Fieldhouse, this is the game West Virginia has circled.
Yes.
This is the game. KU and West Virginia, they don't have that game circled. They don't have that game circled. West Virginia, new coach, whatever. Let's see what they can do this year. They're 14-point underdogs. This team's okay. But we're good. We're rested, ready to go. Mm-hmm. They've got travel problems. Let's go out there. And KU was getting pushed around. They were not aggressive. They weren't attacking the basket. They weren't doing some of the things. And the things that, players that Bill Self would like to start seeing be more aggressive was not. And A.J. Storr is one of them. I still continue to think that A.J. Storr is a key to unlocking the offense if he would be more aggressive because he is a scorer.
Yes.
But he's just not doing that. And Zeke Mayo shouldn't be relied upon to be the guy that's scoring all the buckets and being the clutch player down the stretch. It's great that he is because that's sort of bird in the hand. Zeke Mayo driving and finishing, hitting the step back three after the air ball on the previous possession. As soon as he got the next shot, step back three, I'm like, that's good. He just airballed a great shooter.
Yes.
Has that ability to, I just airballed the previous one. I know the adjustment I'm going to make on this one. And it was nothing but net on that one. So I knew that was good when he knocked it down. Zeke Mayo's becoming that guy, and that's great for KU. But they will not go far in the tournament if the current iteration of KU on the floor there is what they are. They need A.J. Storr. They need Rylan Griffin's shooting. And maybe there's an element of more Flory playing instead of KJ. And I love KJ. I think he's one of the best defenders in America.
Sure.
And the post in the paint defense is just different with Flory in the game instead of KJ. And you saw that in the second half. And maybe that's an adjustment that has to be made. But offensively, man, Storr's got to get out of his own head and figure out what his role is. We saw this with Remy Martin.
Oh, yeah.
It was done. It was toast. Remy was never going to be a part of that KU team. And then he's the one that unlocked the offense, and they won a national title. I'm not saying A.J. Storr is going to be Remy Martin, but he has that ability to take over a game and score. I mean, how many times did he score 30 points last year for Wisconsin? He's got that ability. But right now, he's playing like somebody that doesn't think he belongs.
If you're KU, too, it's not just the offensive ineptitude in the game, especially in the first half. I don't know how you come away with many positives at all because it wasn't a fluky thing. You shot 19 of 21 from the free throw line. That's incredible. 19 of 21. West Virginia was 4 of 6, and you still find a way to lose that game. You only turned the ball over 8 times, so it wasn't like against Missouri, how many times? They had, 8 in the first 7 minutes? Like, I don't know how if you're Kansas, I don't know what positives outside of Zeke Mayo. I don't know a single positive you take away from this game.
The positive is that it's a punch in the mouth, and you know that whoever you're playing, you've got KU on the front of your jersey.
I get that, but you got outplayed.
Oh, absolutely.
Like against Missouri.
They went to Missouri, it was the same thing.
Yeah,
they went to Missouri, and it was Missouri's been waiting for that rematch because
that
they
moment meant so
dog
much.
Walked last year.
Yes,
and they were waiting for that rematch, and there were more Kansas City area players on the floor.
Sure.
So that has and Missouri players on the floor. So understanding that rivalry to a degree. They were ready to go. KU was not ready to go there at the beginning. They were ready in the second half and played a different style. And the same thing with West Virginia.
But again, you saw the turnover differential in that game that I think you understand. For me, I find it so hard. It wasn't like West Virginia was lights out from 3. They were 6 of 20 from 3. Yeah. 6 of 20 and 4 from 6 from the free throw line, and they still
I didn't think KU was terrible.
Game.
Defensively, they weren't terrible. It was the fact that they couldn't score offensively. They weren't doing a lot, and they weren't attacking, and they were playing a lot of one-on-one. They were standing around a lot. Honestly, KU's offense in the first half reminded me last year of Mizzou. Their offense had no flow to it. They were standing around. It was, maybe this guy will set a screen. Okay, well, here comes a step back 3 at the end of the shot clock. That's not how KU runs their offense, man. They have guys that can generate and start and create, They weren't doing that in the first half. They were doing that in the second half. They were getting out and running, defense leading to offense. It's one of the things that Bill Self has always been so good at, and KU was doing that in the second half. To me, the defense was not the issue in that game.
Agreed.
To me, the issue was offensively how porous they were, and the reason why Bill Self talked mainly about how bad they were offensively. And again, Storr's got to figure it out. He's too good to be this player, man. He's way too good to be this player. He can unlock so much for this KU offense if he can do that, because you already know what Zeke Mayo's doing. And Zeke Mayo has been awesome and a revelation for this team, and a guy that I thought would be a nice piece. And he's becoming a big part of this team. We'll see. Look, the Big 12, it gets heavy moving forward. K-State's got some big ones starting. They got opportunities the next couple of weeks or a couple of games to prove that the win against Cincinnati, you can build upon that. Mizzou gets the SEC started in a hurry on Saturday against Auburn, the number 2 team in America, 3 o'clock on the SEC Network. It does not get any easier for them moving forward.
In Auburn, too, by the way.
That's fine.
We did a whole thing. They play, of the home games, like 8 or 9 of Mizzou's home games are ranked. Like every single one. We were trying to find out.
There are 10 ranked SEC teams right now, so odds are you're going up
it
against
was
ranked teams.
absurd.
Yes, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. All right, we'll talk with Ken Swanson coming up on the other side of the break. Just a nugget to pass along on the Mizzou side here as we wrap up this first hour. Johnny Walker, which Sterling, you're enjoying more since New Year's.
Yeah, big Johnny Walker guy, both
Absolutely.
on and off the field.
That's absolutely. He will be off the field in Columbia. He is entering the NFL draft. Johnny Walker is one more year of eligibility, is entering the draft. Marquise Johnson, breakout game for him, has announced that he will not enter the portal, and he will return to Mizzou next year.
Speedy.
Yes, and Dalen Carnell, who was the younger brother of Carnell that made the big tackle on the quarterback. The safety plays like, what do they call it? The robber, or the cowboy, or the star position. Every single defense has
They
a
call
different-
it. They call it. Yes.
Yes, it's like the star position or whatever. He is also not entering the portal. He will return to Mizzou next year. Those are the 3 players that they have some sort of clarification on.
It is wild that in today's day and age, you have to say if a guy is not transferring versus transferring.
Well, when Marquise Johnson has a game like that, I
Yeah.
mean, there might be a team out there that's going to offer him some money. That team probably was Missouri.
Yeah.
That said, hey, we're going to take care of you. You return, we'll take care of you. And Carnell returning for his final year of eligibility as well. So some nuggets there with Mizzou. But Johnny Walker, they will miss him. Having him back and Zion back would have been huge for the defense, but I didn't think he was going to return. I thought that was Johnny Walker's last game.
I thought
in
we
his
all
last
did.
game, he got that sack there in the last possession there that helped him win. So there you go. We'll talk with Kent Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll hear from Matt Nagy, Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, and I don't know if we'll hear from Chris Jones today or not since he's got that
They should
calf
put
injury.
Turk Wharton. You get or whoever the back, Mike
Love it.
Pinnell.
Yes,
give,
well,
give us a different D
I
tackle.
mean, they played. They had FAU at the podium yesterday, so it won't be FAU.
Marlon Tuipulotu.
I'll take your word for it. Nice job, dude. By the way, well done. That was a surprise that you were able to pronounce that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with all the bourbon you've been drinking,
Oh, yeah.
as of late, since Tuesday night, I'm just saying, maybe there's still a little bit left over there. Maybe there's still some Johnny
That's
Walker.
actually why I can pronounce it. Wait till tomorrow when I
Sober. It's like,
sober up.
all the letters are clear now. I don't
Yeah.
even know. Do I pronounce each and every vowel? Yes, you do.
Nowitzki. There's a W in there, so it has to be.
Is that a V? How is that a V? It's a W. There's 2 V's there. That 2 V's equals a W. But how does it equal a W if it's 2 V's? Why wouldn't it be 2 U's to equal a W? As Nate Bargatze would say, nobody knows. I don't know that it's that much of a snub. I really wouldn't even put it in the category of snub for either one of them.
I thought the biggest snub was James Winchester.
Right?
Long snapper.
Come
come
on.
on.
Who's the long snapper?
Jacksonville
Ross Matichik from Jacksonville? Tell me anything about Ross Matichik.
He plays for Jacksonville.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's a long snapper.
I will also say that makes sense probably because Jacksonville punted so much. It's probably whoever punts the most, the long snapper gets the nod.
And a lot of data points for him. I mean, he was used a lot and he rarely made mistakes.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of the volume that was there. Although
who
Winchester was
votes
snapping on field goals and things like that.
Yeah, who votes for Pro Bowl long snapper?
Well, 1/3 is the fan vote. And 2/3 players and coaches.
Seriously, I have no idea. Did it
Ross
rotate
Matichik
through?
was killer in the fan vote.
Is this his first one? Let's see.
No, it's not his first time Pro Bowler. So he's there on name only.
Did you just get it once you get it one time? You're like, well, it's like a
Oddly
Gold
enough,
Glove.
Jacksonville's punter is also Logan Cook is also.
He's
the Pro
very
Bowler.
good.
That's
He
his
actually
first
is
one.
good.
See, they punted a lot. Yeah. That's exactly what you were talking about.
He was All Pro last year. Wow, back to back Pro Bowls for this guy,
There you
Ross.
go. Yeah, but Logan Cook, this is his first one. He's a first-time Pro Bowler this year. So, I thought the biggest snub was Danielle Hunter, quite frankly. Leads the NFL in pressures, leads the NFL in pass rush win rate, is second in sacks in the AFC, and is not on the Pro Bowl, which is interesting.
Well, I guess
It's a Houston Texans is what it is, because Danielle Hunter was a Pro Bowler last year with Minnesota, not a Pro Bowler with the Houston Texans. Jonathan Grenard was a Pro Bowl snub last year with the Houston Texans, is now a Pro Bowler in the NFC. It's just the Houston Texans. You will not get a Pro Bowl defensive end pass rusher if you're the Houston. Sorry, Will Anderson Jr.
They
Not
got Derek Stingley on there.
I'm saying pass rusher.
But who you taking off? Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson,
Probably Max.
or Max
I'd probably take off
Max Crosby. Probably.
Hendrickson has been awesome this year.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett's been awesome. I would probably take off Max Crosby and put on Danielle Hunter, because I think Danielle Hunter's been one of the best pass rushers in the NFL this year. Maybe
I would agree.
the best this year. One of the best when it comes to podcasts and writing about the Chiefs. We talk with him right now is Matt Lane. He is the best. Oh, wait, we got Kent Swanson? Okay, well, Kent's good too. Kent's pretty good too. Kent, how are you, man? Sorry about that. How long you been listening? Shoot.
Oh, no. This is awkward.
Yeah, it is. Oh, jeez. Sorry about that, man. Oh, man, I feel so bad. You're good, too. So, yeah. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Kent, how was your New Year's Eve, brother?
It was great, man. Had a great time. Went to bed early.
Nice. Okay,
did not stay up.
You celebrated the English, the British New Year's.
We celebrated New Year's sometime out in the Atlantic Ocean. It was midnight.
Good for you.
So that was great. We had, it's just, I'll be honest with you. I'm Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a lot of fun. New Year's Eve is not my thing. I think it's just ain't one of my things. So I'm okay going to bed a little early and enjoying myself and waking up at a reasonable time. I did have a brisket going the whole night, though. So, I had to get up a little early. That was probably part of it. I was up at 5:30 working on that thing, so you know how it is.
Good for you, man. Kent Swanson, that's way more work than I didn't have a brisket yet. How did it turn out, though? Always wanted to know that when it comes to the barbecue and smoking the meats with the brisket. How did it turn out yesterday?
It was the best one I've ever made.
Nice.
So,
it was the best one of 2025? It was the best one I've made in 2025.
Hey, good one, Dad.
Thanks.
That's great.
Thanks. This is my second dad joke already. I joked about you being a different guest, and now the 2025. I'm killing it in 2025 so far, man. I'm telling you, I'm on fire.
You're crushing it, buddy.
Thank you.
So proud of you. 2025 is your year. No one is having a better 25 than Sterling Holmes. Oh, I'm sorry, Jason.
No, Sterling is having a better 2025. He's been to the cigar bar. He's drinking bourbon. He's not working out. He's sleeping in. He's eating a lot of junk food. He's killing it in 2025. I won Yahtzee last night, so it's a big start to my 2025.
A winner.
That's right. You're darn right. Take that, Everett and Kalen, in your face. Maybe next time be a little bit better with the dice. That's all I'm saying. All right, the Chiefs have been much better with their play over the last few weeks, Kent. This one obviously does not matter. It has been a while since they have played football. So what have you seen? The last time we talked was a few weeks ago. What have you seen from this team, that how they've played and what they've done as of late to be in this position to where Andy Reid says the best 2 games he's seen from this team in offense, defense combined was Houston and it was Pittsburgh?
I 100% agree with Andy Reid, and it is just absolutely fun to see this well-oiled machine continue to do what it's been doing all year. And, I think there was like a little bit of a lull in the middle of the year. We've seen that before. Like, I just remember just thinking about how much of a machine this thing looked like early in the year, running the football, just kind of controlling games, not being super, stressed. And like there was a lull in the middle of the year where, this team was slogging through games and needing a little bit of luck here and there to win some of these games, or, needing some weird things to happen. But man, they still won those games. They still won a bunch of football games in the middle of the year, and they got through the slog, and now they are peaking at the right time. I really like what I'm seeing. I really like, I think both sides of the ball are just starting to fire at the right time, and I think this break will be massive for this team. I think it could be really beneficial to them. And, if they do what they did against Pittsburgh on Christmas Day, I think you feel good about where this team is heading and their opportunity to host the Arrowhead Invitational yet again in KC.
That's right. Just the 1-year hiatus, and then you get the Arrowhead Invitational back to, the world is spinning on its axis the correct way yet again. So why are they playing different then? What is it? The lull in the middle of the season, certainly agree with that. And now playing really good football offensively looks much different. They came out ready to go against Pittsburgh, and maybe that was a little bit of the Christmas Day feelings from last year, that taste in their mouth and wanting to make sure that didn't happen. There was a clear team last Wednesday that was ready to go and ready to play. I didn't think once that game started and we saw the Chiefs, I didn't think there was a chance they were losing that game. But so why are they playing different offensively? Is it as simple as Joe Thuney? Is it Hollywood Brown? Is there a combination there of those? Is it Mahomes' ankle injury making him stay in the pocket a little bit more, get rid of the ball earlier? What are you seeing from this offense as to why they've gone from the lull to then hitting on all cylinders, peaking at the right time?
Yeah, I think Joe Thuney definitely provided a level of stability to that offensive line that they really needed. And the Chiefs, I think, have schemed in a way that that they can get away with Thuney and Caliendo over on the left side, and they've done a really good job of just kind of hitting the quick game, hitting the RPO game, and they found a lot of success the last couple of weeks, just kind of peppering some concepts, some quick game. I do think Hollywood Brown's insertion into the lineup has been massive too. When you look at a lineup with DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, that is, at any given point, Patrick Mahomes is throwing to someone that he has trust in and he has confidence in. And I think you've seen that in some of the throws that he's made in the last couple of weeks. They've run the slant RPO a lot more frequently, and Mahomes has fired some of those in there. With a lot of confidence because he's throwing to guys he trusts. And it's Juju Smith-Schuster too. I know he's not as dynamic, but it's another player that he trusts immensely. So I think Mahomes is firing with confidence. I think the talent around him is not only peaking at the right time with a guy like Worthy, but just getting Hollywood Brown back into the mix has been massive. And I think this team saw they saw the light at the end of the tunnel. They saw the carrot of, hey, let's go win out so we can get 3.5 weeks off before our playoff game. And so I think that's what we've kind of seen here, is this team is using this opportunity in the home stretch in this tough slog to go 3-0 in 11 days, play their best football at the right time, and kind of flash that ceiling a little bit, flash that high level ability, that playoff football right before the playoffs even start.
Kent Swanson's our guest, KC Laboratory Podcast, KC Sports Network. When I look at the offensive line, I think one of the things that I've taken away the last couple of weeks is we've talked about the sort of revolving door since Eric Fisher. I mean, they got 2 years of Orlando Brown, 1 year Donovan Smith, this year of 4 different left tackles in there, Kingsley, Wanya, DJ Humphries for 3.5 quarters, and then Joe Thuney the last 3 games. It's fascinating. You get a real clear picture, Kent, of what the offense looks like with subpar left tackle play and all-pro at left guard versus above-average left tackle play and subpar left guard. I mean, that's as clear as we see. Like, we talk about, well, how important is the left tackle position to this team? Because, Joe Thuney's so good, and that interior is so good, and nobody's pressuring up the middle. Like, all those things we talked about, the difference between the pressure coming up the middle and having Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher on the outside and protecting Mahomes, and then it's going to be switched with the tackles, and he won't have any of that pressure up the middle. While that's great, like, we've seen a clear, stark difference, right, of what happens when the Chiefs have above-average play at left tackle, even if they have inferior play at left guard, as opposed to the opposite of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth in that, right? Like, I do think, it probably is a case to be made that the tackle position – I mean, and I think the tackle position is just, there's a reason that it is valued higher than what you're, than the interior of an offensive line. I will caution a little bit. I love what Joe Thuney's done, and I think he's played tremendous football. I do worry about what this offense looks like with Thuney out at left tackle as the sample size grows, where maybe they can't. Maybe the quick game gets taken away a little bit. Maybe they need to run the ball more effectively, and I think they've struggled since then, right? So I think I think it's like a double-edged sword where, like, I'm more than pleased with what we've seen out of the tackle position with Joe Thuney out there. But I also think the Chiefs have done a tremendous job kind of tailoring to him, and I worry about, the counter punches that some of the teams that they might see in the playoffs might be able to throw at them if they do get, more of a look of that. But, I think we found the floor, and I think it's been very good. And I think, just having stable left tackle play doesn't have to be otherworldly, but just having stable left tackle play has absolutely proven to be something very valuable for this football team.
I think that's a great way to put it. They found the floor. Like, the floor for this team with the left tackle play was pretty rough, and it seemed like it kept going down another floor. Like, was it Gunther that said, don't say it? Or, no, I think it was Buddy Bell. It was like Royals or said, don't ever say that it can't get worse, because, it can always get worse. And it's like, well, it can't get worse than Kingsley or what, it can always get worse, certainly. But if this is the floor, then, I'll take that. Maybe their ceiling that they're looking at is DJ Humphries playing at the level that Joe Thuney's playing at on the left side, and then Joe Thuney playing at the level that Joe Thuney plays at left guard, as opposed to Caliendo playing left guard, and he struggled the last couple of games. And you're right, the running game hasn't been great, especially to the left side with Joe Thuney and Caliendo in there being the floor. I wonder, though, if Joe Thuney, more of a sample size, if he does have to play left tackle in the divisional round in the AFC Championship game and hopefully in the Super Bowl as well, if he does have to play left tackle and plays well, I do wonder if what the Chiefs would do in this offseason if they found themselves getting some pretty good play from left tackle with a guy who they already have under contract, and if they still need to figure out the left tackle spot, or if they just need to figure out the left guard spot if Joe stays over at left tackle. Obviously, that's a long way away, but finding the floor, I think, is an interesting way to put it, because if they go into this offseason, Kent, and the draft looks pretty thin for offensive tackles, whatever the free agent market may be, or potential trades, if they can't get something done that seems to be their liking and what the cost acquisition is going to be, and they typically have a ceiling and they won't go over that, at least they would know that in the back of their mind, they'd have a left tackle in Joe Thuney that would give them a certain area of the floor. And maybe you find a left guard and see what you can do moving forward, and not, try to have a revolving, or try to figure out your left tackle with a revolving door and hope, strategy. Hope is the strategy of that you find somebody that eventually rises to the top.
Well, and I mean, if you want to get weird, maybe they have their left guard on the roster. Maybe it's Kingsley Suamataia kicking inside here. Maybe it's a Wanye Morris kicking inside. I think they've given those two young guys, the toughest task, I think, on this offensive line, the left tackle spot, and maybe they like the development of a Kingsley, maybe they like, or maybe the reports have been that they've cross-trained him, and moved him around a little bit more. So I'm kind of fascinated by that. I don't know if I'm overly comfortable with the maybe Thuney being the permanent everyday starter left tackle. Although the Chiefs will have an entire offseason to plan as if that is the case, and I do like that. But I do think it continues. Like, I think the fact that what we've seen out of Thuney, I think it increases the value tremendously of Joe Thuney to this team. And I think this, prolongs his time here in Kansas City because of the value that he has as being someone that could literally walk in and play any position on the offensive line and do it at a capable level. And, if you look at, what the Chiefs have done along the offensive line since, the debacle with all the injuries and what they had. I mean, me,
Dylan, I think, was
playing on the offensive line.
The Bucs.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah. I still regret how poorly I played, trying to protect Mahomes' blind side. But
I'm still investing that game check, so I'm good with it. So, sorry.
Yeah.
That's not my fault they put me out there. So,
yeah.
it's their fault.
Well, I mean, and Remmers, it is what it is. But
Remmers was also in the group with us randomly.
Yeah,
us four and
also.
Remmers.
Yep.
It was odd.
But it was. And I mean, I take blame for that. Mahomes could only do so much in that game. But it's just like I think Tooney, helps insulate you a little bit more from that happening.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I want it to be a full season status for Joe Tooney, but I do like the flexibility he has to play at a very competent level, very high level. If you kind of build a plan that includes him being your left tackle, and I think the Chiefs, it's been a dancing act where I think he's played great, but also I think there's some help just schematically that I think this team has given him.
So this is a two-part question. One's going to be your opinion, and one's going to be what you think the Chiefs will do. If DJ Humphries is healthy, is Joe Tooney your left tackle, Caliendo your left guard? That's just an opinion for you, or is it Humphries and Joe Tooney? And if DJ Humphries is healthy, what do you think the Chiefs do? Do they stay with if it ain't broke, don't fix it right now, Tooney at left tackle, Caliendo at left guard, and have Humphries available if somebody gets injured? So what would you do, and what do you think the Chiefs do?
What I would do is I would play DJ Humphries based on his Week 18 performance. So if you see him finish the game, or if you see him get through a workload that, you set the expectation for, and he looks better getting off the ball, which I think one of the biggest struggles that DJ Humphries had in this game was just getting off the ball on the snap. And so if you see him doing that well, if you see him getting off the ball well, I think you go to DJ Humphries, the experienced left tackle. I think there were some bright spots as the game went on. A couple weeks ago, I think the only I think the downside is obviously the injury, and he wasn't able to finish the game. I think you roll with him and kick Tooney inside. That is a best five in my opinion, because I think the difference between DJ Humphries at left tackle and Mike Caliendo left guard is significant. And then you've always got Joe Tooney to fall back on. I think if you roll with DJ Humphries at left tackle and make that the plan, you at least know that you have the fallback of Tooney, to play the left tackle position. Where I don't think you can do the inverse, where DJ Humphries is your break in case of emergency at the left tackle position. I think you have to game plan as if you get into some of the deeper drop stuff. You can get into some of that kind of stuff with DJ Humphries playing left tackle. And then if you need to adjust, then you know where to adjust and kick Tooney outside. So my opinion, I think if he comes out of this game clean, I think Humphries is the starting left tackle in the divisional round. And what I think the Chiefs will do is the same. I think they will play DJ Humphries at the left tackle spot if everything goes according to plan against Denver in Week 18.
Yeah, I hope Monday we're talking about DJ Humphries and how good he looked against a motivated and a Broncos team that's going to bring everything, because it's a playoff game for Denver, and you've got a guy who is now officially a Pro Bowler in Nick Bonito, who was awesome against the Chiefs last time they played at Arrowhead. And if DJ Humphries is, playing well against Bonito, then, yeah, that's a different conversation that we could be having on Monday and talking about what the offense could be with a good DJ Humphries and a Pro Bowl left guard in Joe Tooney, and also what the running game could look like back on the left side, which has been quite the struggle. So if he plays, and Andy Reid said yesterday that, he wants to see him at practice and, hopefully, but he's going to take this thing again like he has the last couple of weeks. We'll see how he does out at practice. Want to see what him go out there, and so we'll see what the practice report is for today as well. But DJ Humphries, and, if he comes out of practice perfectly fine these next couple of games or next couple of days, that would be great, and we'll see him out there on Sunday. Defensively, Kent Swanson's our guest. Defensively, they have been playing great football. They've been getting turnovers. They've been getting sacks. Is that is it as simple as the correlation causation that they're getting these sacks and that's now turning into turnovers? Is it water finding its level over the course of a season? The Chiefs have had opportunities for turnovers and haven't really fallen in their favor, and now they are, and sometimes these things come in bunches. Are they doing anything differently? What are you seeing from the defense as to why the turnovers are now coming at the clip, 10 of them these last 3 weeks?
Well, I think the pass rush has been better since Charles Omenihu got back. I think there's been that. I think you're seeing some steps, and the four-man rush is able to get home a little bit more consistently, and that's been really good to see. And you saw all these. You saw the Chiefs pass rush without Chris Jones do some really good things in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's playing a factor, but I think you need to give credit to the back seven too, because I think the back seven has really taken some steps, and I think there's a couple contributing factors to that. I think Joshua Williams and Najee Johnson are playing better, not perfect, and still some concerns, and keeping an eye on that Steven Nelson situation, keeping an eye on that Jalen Watson situation, but I think Najee Johnson and Joshua Williams have used this time during the season where the Chiefs went 15-1 with their starters, and they've worked through a lot of things throughout this year and still won a lot of football games. And I think Williams and Najee have played better. And I think getting to move Trent McDuffie around a little bit more has been a major factor in how this team has been able to, generate more turnovers. Because Trent McDuffie's forced turnovers in 3 straight games, including interceptions. What is this world we live in now? So I think that's been a contributing factor. Chris Roland Wallace is a better coverage player than Shamari Connor. Shamari Connor is better against the run. He makes some splashier plays. But Roland Wallace has been, a better coverage player from the slot as well. So I think that back seven has found more continuity, has found the level, and I think getting better play out of the cornerback room has been significant, and it's giving Trent McDuffie a little bit more flex, and you're seeing the results of that. And hey, James Hicks too. James Hicks,
he's played.
Things are just kind of rounding into shape at the right time for all this team. I think that's what it is. It's just seeing this team, work through all that stuff during the regular season and then just find the right things at the right time.
All right, so Trent McDuffie, who was limited in practice yesterday, will not play this weekend. He wasn't going to play really anyway, but he's certainly not going to play with a limited participant with a knee injury yesterday at practice. So I think we can go and figure that one out. Andy Reid said yesterday he hasn't really thought about the other guys yet, other than Patrick Mahomes is going to start, Carson Wentz is going to start for Patrick Mahomes. So Mahomes sits, Carson Wentz is in there. Carson Steele will have an added workload. Andy Reid said on Monday that Pacheco won't be playing because those ribs are still tender. We're going to see a lot of Carson Steele and Carson Wentz, the Carson backfield for the Chiefs this weekend. But DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, guys like that. Do you play Hollywood to continue to knock off the rust? Or, hey, the legs are fine. If he's not out there working on the timing with him and Patrick Mahomes, then what's the point? So how do you view sort of the wide receiver group and, DeAndre Hopkins having $750,000 on the line and bonuses if he can reach certain, numbers in the passing game?
Yeah, I'd expect this team to try to get DeAndre Hopkins that touchdown incentive. So I could see him getting some run, in the red zone and just getting a little bit of work. But I do think, the Chiefs would be wise to, try to limit how much exposure they give Hollywood, Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins in this game, because this thing really, I think we talked about having so much trusted talent on the field at the same time has been a contributing factor to this team finding more success offensively, and you don't want to mess with that. It might not be bad to get Worthy and Hollywood going just a little bit, just to maybe get a little work with Carson Wentz. Just in case you need it for the playoffs, which this team has in their dynasty era. But yeah, I think Nuke, they're going to go for the incentives for Nuke for sure. I think if they get down to the red zone, I think you might get 1 or 2 targets from DeAndre Hopkins in that game. So I think you get him a little bit of work, but I would rather see Nico Remigio and Justin Watson out there.
Okay, I'm writing down anytime touchdown for DeAndre Hopkins in the game on Sunday. That's a good point. I mean, it's $250,000 on the line if he gets one touchdown. Now he's going to need 9 receptions to get to that $250,000. He's going to need 140 yards to get to the other $250,000. But yeah, $250,000 go out and catch a touchdown one time. They get down early in the game. That'd be interesting. Maybe they only bring him in if they get down in the red zone. It's like they've got DeAndre Hopkins plays if they get down inside the 10-yard line, and that's it. But DeAndre, you don't need to play until we get down inside the 10, because we'll see if the offense against an incredibly motivated Denver Broncos team, in which this offense didn't score a whole lot of points against that Denver Broncos defense earlier in the year with the starters out there, how effective they'll be offensively in this particular game. All right, Kent, Chiefs, Broncos, what do you think happens? And do the Chiefs come out on top, or the Broncos take care of business and make the playoffs?
So I'll give you one quick kind of theory, just tying some things together, and that it will tie to my prediction. So we hear Peter Schrager talk about Chris Oladokun might be getting some run here in this game as well, not just Carson Wentz. And if that's the case, what I think is going to happen is the Chiefs are going to get Carson Wentz some work. They're going to get him some work with a more established group, and then they're going to try to hand things over to a largely rookie offensive line group. The Chiefs have 4 offensive linemen that are rookies on their roster, Driscoll, Norzad, Hansen, and Suamata'i, and I think they want to give them some live reps in a playoff game, essentially, for the Denver Broncos. And I think Chris Oladokun is the quarterback behind that group. So I think, the first half might be a little bit close, but I think the Broncos pull away, and the Chiefs don't really do much offensively in the second half. So give me 24-10 Denver Broncos win this game. They kind of manage that fourth quarter a little bit, and kind of get out of Dodge and get ready for their playoff game against the Buffalo Bills the next week.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it going as well. I think Denver will take care of business, and the Chiefs will get some guys some run, and the Bengals, who I think will beat the Steelers in a couple of days, and the Dolphins, who I think will beat the Jets, will be sitting. Well, once the Dolphins beat the Jets, then the Bengals can go ahead and 1-2-3 Cancun. So it won't matter for them. But I think they'll be sitting at home unhappy about it. Although I wouldn't mind the Chiefs repaying the Miami Dolphins favor from a few years ago when they beat the Patriots and they had nothing to play for, and the Patriots had the number 2 seed to play for. And the Patriots ended up losing that game to the Dolphins with that drive at the end of the game, and Gesicki caught the touchdown. Kevin Harlan, I'm calling both games. So maybe the Chiefs repay the favor to the Dolphins. I wouldn't be mad about that.
You know what? I don't care if the Cincinnati Bengals get in or not. I
don't either. I don't either. I can't stand the national conversation about the Chiefs don't want the Bengals to get in the playoffs. Oh, okay. Sure.
It is really hilarious to me how the national media has run with this whole Bengals thing when the chances of it actually happening are so slim. But everything is just built around this storyline, because there's not very many storylines going into Week 18, and they're about their only thing that they can run with, and the percentage chance of them actually even getting in is very slim. But it's the only thing they have running other than Detroit and Minnesota. That's basically the only 2 interesting storylines for this week. So they're gonna blast this one as much as they can.
Yep, I think Steelers are going to get beat by the Bengals. I think the Chargers will win, and it'll be the Chargers going to Houston and winning. And I think the divisional round will be the Chiefs taking on L.A. and Buffalo hosting Baltimore. That's my prediction right now. So I'll be rooting for the Steelers, because I would much rather it be Pittsburgh and Houston playing each other in the 4-5 game and taking the winner of that. Although if somebody goes to Baltimore or Buffalo and wins, then that wouldn't be the worst thing either. So we'll see. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. We will talk in a couple of weeks, getting ready for that divisional round. Actually, getting ready for next week. Getting ready for division round game. So we'll talk then, brother. Appreciate it as always, man. And enjoy the next couple of weeks. Enjoy the next couple of weeks off of stress-free football, man.
Oh, I can't wait. Happy New Year.
Yes, you as well. There's Kent Swanson. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We've got the Chiefs press conferences coming up in just a little bit. We know who is going to be at the podium now. It is going to be coordinator and assistant coach day. So Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, no Dave Tobe, but Andy Heck, Brendan Daly, Joe Blameyer, and Donald D'Alosio, the safeties coach, which means that it's no Dave Merritt. Interesting. So Dave Merritt not talking today. I don't know. He's out getting interview somewhere. Oh, they got the safeties coach. They got linebackers coach, Brendan Daly. What's that, Sterling? I can't hear you. Just talking in the background. Why don't you yell a little bit louder?
He could be on my New Year's schedule, so maybe
That's a
he's
good point,
little tired today.
Yeah, there you go. But, Joe D'Alicio, the safeties coach, and then Brendan Daly, linebackers coach, Joe Blameyer, pass game coordinator, Andy Heck, offensive line coach, and then Nags and Spags. We'll hear from them coming up at about 11:45 or so. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone next. All right, thank you to Ken Swanson. DJ Humphries full participant yesterday in practice, so that's of note that he should be able to go out there and play this weekend against the Denver Broncos and the Pro Bowl pass rusher in Nick Benito. Get a good idea of what DJ Humphries can look like. Although it won't be the Mahomes cadence, which is a part that I think was one of the issues in that game against the Chargers and why he got beat a couple times by Khalil Mack, is that Khalil Mack timed up Mahomes' cadence better than DJ Humphries did.
Yeah.
And Khalil Mack got like a half a step after the snap on Humphries, and you're toast against Khalil Mack if that happens. So he'll be out there with Carson Wentz, I'm assuming, since he's full participant. As long as something else doesn't happen with that hamstring over the next couple of days, he should be out there, knock off the rust, and get ready and take next week off and get ready for, again, what I believe will be the Chargers.
I am a little
Arrowhead Stadium.
nervous about that.
About it being the Chargers?
About DJ Humphries
okay.
being the left tackle. I was the most don't move Joe Tooney to left tackle, and now
Word.
I'm team keep Joe Tooney at left tackle.
So that means they're going to move Joe Tooney back because they are doing the opposite of whatever you say.
Yes, correct.
Because we were at ADA and we were talking about Joe Tooney or Wanya Morris at
Yes.
left tackle, and I said you put Joe Tooney at left tackle and you keep him there, and Caliendo's at left guard, and we'll see what that looks like. And they did. I'm of the mindset, and I talked with this with Adam about this on Tuesday. I'd leave Joe Tooney there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I
Yes.
understand people's concerns with Caliendo because he has struggled. I understand the concerns with the running game on the left side. And you don't want to say we're going to hand it off and we're only going to the right side because now your tendencies are there in the playoffs. You don't want that with, Chargers have a good defense. Bills and Ravens at times, but also at times.
Well, the Ravens
not so
can
good.
stop the run. They just can't stop
Yeah, they just
anyone
can't stop the pass.
throwing.
And so, I wouldn't move Joe Tooney. Heck, I might even see what Wanya Morris looks at left guard. But then you're really starting to upset the apple cart at that time, moving some guys in and out. But I do believe, Adam Teicher said he thinks the Chiefs are going to stay with Joe Tooney. I believe they're going to go to DJ Humphries. And I think we'll get a pretty good idea this weekend. If DJ Humphries looks okay, then I think they will stay with DJ Humphries at left tackle. Now, if he doesn't look good and he keeps getting beat and looks pretty rusty, or a guy that, nobody re-signed and brought in, although he was recovering from the ACL injury.
Sure.
So understandable. But also, he had been cleared for a couple of weeks, and he'd gone on different visits to other teams, and they didn't sign him. Chiefs did sign him pretty quickly. I think they were more of a dire straits at that time of needing
Money
a left
for
tackle.
nothing.
And the left tackle for free sometimes, although they're paying him a little bit more money than other teams maybe were willing to do. I hope on Monday.
Sultan of swing tackle. There we go.
Nice
we got
job.
there.
I'll take your word for it if
We
that's
got
a
there.
musical reference.
It's not Dire Straits, Sultan of swing, but then we got Sultan of swing tackle now.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
great. I hope on Monday we're talking about how good DJ Humphries looked, because then it makes the decision easy. Then it's like, okay, great. You leave him at left tackle. You put Joe Tooney at left guard. He's got 2 more weeks. And I asked Kendall Gammon this last Friday specifically that how much can you get used to the cadence in practice as opposed to game reps? And he's like, man, you can do that. In practice, you'll get used to the cadence. The more and more times they'll get reps together. The reps will be with Carson Wentz this week. I want to hear Andy Reid here real quick. This is clip number 2 because he says something at the end of this clip. He's talking about Carson Wentz and the offense, but he says something at the end of this clip that I thought was pretty interesting about Patrick Mahomes. I think it's this clip. If not, my apologies, and we'll play the other one, but I think it's this one. This is Andy Reid talking about Carson Wentz and what he can look like in this offense.
First of all, I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a good football player. I think he's got a good feel for this offense. Whether he's developed it or had some of the stuff prior to coming here, he's got a good feel. And then he deserves an opportunity to get in there and play. And at the same time, it gives Pat time to work on certain things that he'll do during the practices.
That last part stood out. Like the whole, I have respect for him, good player, he deserves the opportunity. Okay, cool, coach speak. But him playing will allow Patrick Mahomes to work on some things in practice. So what's that? Is that Mahomes' footwork, fundamentals that he always talks about he's got to go back to, staying in the pocket, moving around inside the pocket, things that if he's going through game plan reps, maybe he's not doing as much work on that during the week. But I thought that stood out among anything of the 2 clips of Andy Reid talking about Carson Wentz and playing quarterback. But it's also going to allow Patrick Mahomes to do some things in practice that he couldn't do otherwise as, getting ready for that division round. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll see a different Patrick Mahomes, a more on-platform Patrick Mahomes. It's funny. Every time Mahomes talks about, well, my footwork was really bad, or, I was missing some guys. Well, I was leaving some clean pockets. Typically, the next week he comes back and it's throwing a lot more on platform, throwing a lot more on time, staying more in the pocket, manipulating the pocket inside of, that area as opposed to just bailing. I don't know. Maybe we see more of that. Not sure. I just thought that was interesting hearing from Andy Reid say that. Maybe Matt Nagy will be asked about what Patrick Mahomes can work on that he doesn't typically work on if he's not the starter. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo, and some assistant coaches coming up next. from Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Heck, Brendan Daly, Joe Blameyer, and Donald D'Alessio. No Dave Merritt. No Joe Cullen. Man, those are the best, dude. If you gave me a day with Spags, Cullen, and Merritt, what more do you want? I mean, that's a good day.
Yeah.
You know? Jim Valvano, in a much more serious conversation at the ESPY Awards, when he said, if you laugh, you cry, you smile, that's a full day, man. If you do that every day, that's a full day. That's a great day. And that's right. But if for press conferences we get Spagnuolo, Cullen, and Dave Merritt, those would be the best. Those are our favorite guys. We get Spags, but, man, assistant coach day, no Cullen or Dave Merritt. It's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, as Curtis Seabolt texted Todd and said, who do I have to pay to kick somebody's ass? Whose ass do I have to pay to have it kicked? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pay somebody to kick somebody's ass for not giving us Dave Merritt or Joe Cullen today.
I would probably say of anyone at the station, maybe Jake.
Okay.
Right? I feel like Jake might be the guy you'd...
But then Jake would have to be out. Like, it would pay for somebody who's already out there.
Yeah, but...
So who are you
maybe
paying
Lebo,
in the...
I guess.
Well, Lebo's a pacifist. He's not fighting anybody.
He's not fighting anyone, yeah.
No, he's going to slay people with his words and his sports opinions. That's all. But he's not going to fight somebody.
Bethany, probably.
Bethany would... yes, she would lay down the law.
Yeah, I think she would.
Absolutely. So I could see that. Bethany would be a good investment. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else.
Matt Derrick, maybe, but he's too nice.
He's too nice. Yeah. Matt Derrick would
It's
take somebody.
Teicher. Because Teicher, it's his last year, so it's kind of like the Office Space thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't
good call.
matter. Doesn't matter. Leave it all on the field. You know, he would take him out. Whoever it needs to be done. It'll be done. Nate Taylor. No. Not feeling.
No, I'm not feeling it. He's not doing
Nate
it.
Taylor with that. Harold Kuntz, I think, may go lay down the law.
Ruffle some feathers, you
Yeah.
think? Yeah.
Mick Schaefer will just tell them jokes, and they would laugh until they pass out. And
Yeah, which is a good one.
he'd beat them that way.
Smart.
Yeah, that's just smart. That's what you should do. That's just very smart. Yeah, I don't know. I think those are some of the people there. Sam McDowell can't do it. They would sneeze and Sam McDowell would fall over. You know, he's a smaller individual. So
Well, he's tall.
Jesse Newell, I
Lanky.
think Jesse Newell might be an underrated sort of a player in this game. I think he might be an under the radar guy.
I'm taking Bethany. If I have a draft,
Yeah.
she's probably 1-1.
Okay. Vahe. Got that old school. you know?
Yeah.
Blair, the nice guy that all of a sudden out of nowhere just puts you in a chokehold.
I do think Teicher's
Rabbit
a good
punch,
answer.
rabbit punch,
Dylan
pile
probably
driver.
had the good answer of Teicher. What's he have to lose?
Nothing. All right, here's Spags.
Everything feels normal now. I can sit back and I can watch a little Good Morning Football. Has that always been up there? Yeah, I don't hear it. All right, I'm just fired up to play another game. So we've had a little bit of time off here. It feels like ever that we've been here, right? Those extra days in there help. But with that, I'll just kind of open it up and let you guys fire away.
Hey, Steve, two things about the turnovers. Obviously, you guys emphasize it all the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes they come in streaks.
Yeah.
I wonder how you account for it, and then I'll have a second thing about it.
You know, I will say this. You know, the fumble. I'm thinking of a couple of them. Like Leo, always. You know, if you watch Leo in practice, he's always doing it. He had that a couple games ago. Or they're running together now. That was a couple games ago. Right? It was Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I will credit the guys on the back end for the catches that they're making. Justin Reed's last week and the one Brian Cook made back in the Cleveland game. I mean, those guys work at that all the time. So, and we always say catch the ones he throws to you because you don't get that many opportunities, right? And you'd have to help me memory-wise, but I don't think I can remember NJ, Nazi had one in the Cleveland game that we actually dropped. But I don't know that there's been many of actual drops. So the good thing is that recently the opportunities have been there and the guys have made the catches, so that part's good.
Is it one of those things that over time you keep preaching the same thing, and over time
Yeah, eventually.
that'll even out? Or I mean, has there been some magic?
Yeah, if the football gods are fair, then hopefully it does even out, you know. Because listen, for a while there, it was real thin, right? Didn't we won a few games there where we didn't have a turnover. So it's nice to see us get them. Now listen, we can't guarantee that's going to happen in the games going forward. We got to play good, solid defense, whether we get them or not. But it's certainly, listen, we know what that stat means in terms of wins and losses, so we're going to always emphasize it.
And just that's the last thing on what that stat has meant, or just the tangible impact you see game to game, both defense and offense.
I mean, it's a team thing, right? You win the turnover ratio, you got a pretty good chance. I mean, your percentages go way up of winning the game. That and fourth down stops, big special teams plays, right? Those seem to tip the game in your favor. So the more of those we can get, the better.
See, regardless of who's going to play, the guys that don't play on Sunday, what's the process of trying to keep them sharp ahead of the play?
So the first PowerPoint that I put up on Tuesday was, do not lose your edge. And we went 2.5 months of off-season work. We went, whatever it's been, 5.5 months since July of all this work to get to this point. Why would we back off? Why would we lose our edge? I'm talking about in preparation and how the guys practice, what they might do with their bodies, physically rest, all those things. So that was an emphasis at the beginning. We've also challenged our guys, look, depending on where this all goes, and we got this week 18 to figure out who the playoff team, there's a chance we play this team again. So if I'm sitting there, listening to all the information about Denver's offense, I'd want to accumulate that to be ready for this, not only this game, but in the chance that we end up playing them again.
It seems sort of unprecedented. I mean, league-wide, even to have 24, 25, whatever it ends up, those amount of days off. Is there anything you can fall back on experience-wise?
Preseason, when the guys don't play a lot. In the middle of the season, at the end, maybe not. Because we played on a Wednesday, right? That was really unique. I mean, I know I've been on teams where we've had the last game, right? But it was only a 7-day window and not this 10 or 11 days, whatever it is. So it's a little bit more extra time. But, hopefully that's a benefit. We'll see where that goes. But hopefully it's a benefit. I trust our guys. The guys that won't play as much, they seem fully in tune to me.
It seems like Chris obviously won't go. Do you anticipate backing off guys like Trent and certain?
I'm going to leave Andy. That's Andy's decision, and whatever he decides by the time we get to Sunday, we'll roll with. And I think the guys feel the same way. Like they're ready to go either way. Coach, what do you want us to do, Coach? And if they got to go, they'll go, and if not, that'll be Coach's decision.
The interesting thing about this game is, in the past, like last year we played, the Chargers weren't trying to make the playoffs. I mean, they wanted to win the game.
Good point. Yeah.
The Broncos likely need to win this game. So what's that line like, giving them the best that you can give them and resting your guys? How do you kind of...
That's the head coach. I go back to Andy. I mean, he makes that decision. We're in our meetings with everybody getting ready to play against Denver's offense. All hands on deck. Chris may be a little bit different because of the injury he's dealing with. And all those guys, to a man, are working that way in the meetings that we've had, in these walkthroughs, and now getting ready to have another practice. That's not going to change, and it's a really good point. We're going to get their best. It's not they're not experimenting, with getting ready for the future or anything. They're getting ready for a playoff run. So whoever we put out there has got to play their best.
Can you speak to what you've seen from Bo Nix through this year?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I'm really impressed. Listen, I didn't study him in college. I heard the name, knew about him. But we played him a few weeks back in that week 9. I thought he was really good then. And he's just even gotten better. Full command of that offense that they run. Has been really smart with the football, and he's a really good athlete. This might sound shocking, but when he tucks it and runs, I get visions of Josh Allen. Like he can go. And he's a pretty good sized guy too. He might not be as big as Josh, but so there's that whole feature, and we've got to get better at containing, controlling quarterbacks from hurting us with their feet.
Steve, for the starters who won't go on Sunday, how do you want them to stay engaged?
Yeah, what they've been doing, even then, and I'm sure they'll do it on Sunday, is they've been right there next to the person that might be in there for them. I think that keeps them engaged because they've got to know the game plan to help feed it or help the guys along the way. So, we got some really good guys that way. As I stand in that meeting, and I've said this to you before, when you stand in front of a meeting, you see everybody. You can see faces, you can see eyes nod, the whole thing. And I see all these guys staying fully in tune. They got their computers, and I don't type, I write, but they type. And I think they're staying in tune.
couple more.
It's head coach season. I know in the past you mentioned wanting potentially to have that.
Yeah.
Is that still something? I know you're preparing for this week. Is that
Yeah.
something that you'd like in the future?
I mean, well, I'll deal with that later. I mean, listen, yeah, the answer is yes. But right now, it's all about Denver, and I hadn't even thought about that road until you just mentioned it. So I'll let all that take care of itself.
You talk about maintaining that edge. I know you might have talked about this earlier, but have you seen some of that here in the early weeks, just kind of how some of those guys are doing it after you challenge them?
Yeah, I do see them. Listen, I see them challenging each other to maintain their edge. You know, the greatest thing about these guys, they've been around each other long enough. They can get on each other when they make a mistake or miss something. So we're out there on a walkthrough, and I hear one guy saying to the other guy, "Hey, didn't you hear him say that in the meeting?" You know, so that's a good thing. To me, that's maintaining the edge.
Steve, just a side thought related to that. Do you, over the years, have you, even though you're doing your utmost every game during the regular season, do you sense an extra gear within this team for playoffs?
That would probably be a pretty fair statement. I mean, I think, you know, we got vets in that room that have been down this road and know what it takes to get to where we would like to go. It takes a next level of preparation. It takes a next level of, you know, taking care of your body and getting sleep, all that, you know. All those, we got a checklist of things you need to do to go win a championship, and I think now everybody's fully in tune to checking all those boxes every week.
And do you think that's the sort of thing that, obviously, by doing it and having that success over time,
the experience of going through it, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, when you get a team that has never been through it, you're probably always coaching up what you need to do to get ready for these. And I think most of our guys in that locker room, except for the guys that are new this year, probably know what all that takes. Good? All right, thank you. Yep.
All right, there's Steve Spagnuolo. It has been a few weeks since we've heard from Spags, and a number of things that he talked about. Obviously, the bulk of that conversation was about how you keep your guys engaged, how you keep your guys sharp with 24, 25 days that you will go between games of playing, and a number of guys that are starters that will not play. Now, he said, it's going to be up to Andy to figure that out. I'm not sure who's going to play, who's not going to play. And then a couple of questions later said, well, you know, the guys that aren't playing are standing right next to the guys who are playing, and they're staying engaged and in tune. They're like, well, okay, well, who are the guys standing next to the guys that'll be playing for them, since, you know, you just said those guys won't be playing. But that'll be up to Andy to decide those things. But yeah, keeping those guys engaged and tuned. And it's a good point about, hey, if you're here and you're not playing this week, you need to be paying attention in the meetings, because what the Denver offense looks like now versus when you played them earlier in the year, hey, we may play this team again. Here's Matt Nagy.
Whoever ends up playing for you guys on Sunday, the guys who don't, what's the process of trying to keep them sharp over what would be a pretty extended layoff before they play again?
Yeah, they know that it's their job, number one. Number two, they have to stay prepared whichever way it goes, and they do a good job with that. It's important. I mean, this entire time as they go through this process, they know that too, if they're not playing, it's their role too to become another coach and be there. And then also, you have to be ready too. I mean, you never know how things go in the game, and if you're up and you're suited and ready to go. That's why I think, like, sometimes as you go through this process, the mental challenge and the hurdles of preparing, you know, all week, you can't let that slip. You got to prepare and keep it the same, and I think that's very important for these guys.
Pat's time to throw just way down recently. I guess how much legwork behind the scenes for you and your team did you have to pick certain things that could fit that?
You know, we do some of that. It's always interesting when you hear some of that time stuff that goes on, because it can be just a matter of you know, half a second that can make the world of difference. But I think big thing in general is just the fact that we feel really good. We're kind of from where we've been throughout the season, these last couple games, we've felt good with the rhythm that we've been in, whether it's passing the ball, running the football, etc. I like where we're at, and you want to be kind of peaking in that the way we are right now.
How exciting has it been that Worthy is hitting that stride while you get Brown back in the mix, and it does seem like there is some chemistry already with Holmes and Brown?
Yeah, I love it. It's again, you've heard me relate it to Rasheed, but that's real. Xavier's done a great job of staying patient the entire season. He's been great with the players. It's been a fun process for him, and now as we continue to kind of go into these moments and these games, he's going to realize that when we get to the playoffs, it steps up even more and things get even faster. But it's been really fun to see this offense start to come together, and getting Hollywood back too certainly helps that.
Now, a couple things about the turnovers. I mean, you guys are in kind of a historic role with not producing all of a sudden. Sorry to bring it up.
Yeah, don't be jinxing
Yeah.
that.
But I wonder if you could speak to, I mean, obviously it's always a point of emphasis.
Yeah.
Why has it been different these last few weeks? And one other thing about it after that.
Well, number one, there's a lot of teams that thrive off of that turnover, and it flips the field, gives them a short field on offense. And I think there's a balance. Like Pat's been phenomenal the last several weeks of being good decision making, and his accuracy has been really, really good. So all of that comes together. The running backs, the ball carriers. You want to make sure you talk about it. You don't want to overdo it, but there's a balance to making sure that they know it. Pittsburgh last week, they're special now. They're elite at what they do with getting the ball. We showed clips of them just punching the ball out all week long of times that they don't get the ball. And so I feel like there's some times where the players, as crazy as it sounds, when they're in the middle of the play, like real quick, it clicks in their brain, ball security. And then they think about it against a really good team like Pittsburgh that does that.
The flip side of that is just, how you've benefited from what the defense has been doing.
Yeah.
How much has that changed sort of your offensive production?
It's massive. You look at turnover margin in the NFL, and if you can protect the football and get the football, you look at those teams in the history of the years here now, the teams that have the good turnover margin ratio, you'll have a chance to go far. And so when we lock in on that and focus out when the defense does it on both ends, it can be pretty fun.
Brad, how would you describe the season that Travis Kelce had this year?
Well, I mean, I've seen a bunch of them, and I'd say this year's season has been just as good as a lot of them that I've seen. I mean, I go back to when we all were in these conversations earlier in the year and talking about did he lose a step and he's not getting the football, and then like 3 games later, I know Rasheed got hurt, but yeah, like 16 targets one game. And the beautiful part about Trav is that he does not care about it. He wants to continue to just keep winning. He cares about these trophies. He cares about winning. He's extremely unselfish. How he takes care of his body in practice throughout the week. It's just special. You know, you're not going to see many tight ends like him, and what he does is rare. I'd say he's having a hell of a season right now, and I think if you ask any of these guys, they're ready to just keep this thing going.
He's had some big games for you guys over the years in the playoffs, as you know. Hey, you never know how a game's going to go, but can you see him bringing that kind of game again in the postseason?
You can, and I go back to last year, Adam, where I remember we hit at the end of the season, we had the game against the Chargers, and it was a game that Trav wasn't playing, and I remember it kind of sparking him a little bit physically, mentally, all that kind of gave him a jump. I felt like, at least I think, he came back in the playoffs, and all the guys, not just Kels, but I remember him just having just a little extra more, and it's critical when you can get to that point for some guys that are, he's been doing this a long time. He's got more reps than most people in this league. So when you can take advantage of that and get these type of games where you get a bye week, for him, it's massive, taking you into what matters the most in the playoffs.
I wanted to ask you about Nico a minute ago.
Yeah.
So he obviously been on the field for the last few weeks with McColl's absence. Just what have you seen from him and the progress that he's made?
Extremely patient this whole year. There's been times where maybe he felt like he was going to be up. He came in training camp and had a hell of a training camp. Special teams was a massive part of it. We had these talks back then, and I think it definitely tests your patience to be able to know that when the time is right, you'll get your chance. He's done that. He's had a chance now to return some punts. He's been thrown in there a few times on offense, and he does a lot of things right. And he's still learning, but man, the kid plays so tough. He's a true professional. You've heard me use those words before about him, and I'm excited for him because you root for kids like him.
Last one. Let's go, Nate and Todd.
Matt, have you seen something quite similar to what Joe Tooney was able to do in a 3-game stretch in 11 days, and potentially maybe continuing to play, out of his natural position?
I don't know if I have, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of great defensive ends in this league, a lot of great pass rushers. The gauntlet that he went up against these last couple weeks, I know people talk about it, but and there's going to be plays where it's not perfect and he gets beat. That's okay. I mean, he's one of the best guards in the game to go out and play tackle. I love the fact that you're bringing the question up because I think he deserves a ton of recognition for that. And I know internally we appreciate that. And whichever way it goes moving forward, we'll see, and that's up to Coach. But, the other part, too, is like you look at these guys and when you present something to him, he's such a selfless guy that he just wants to do what's best for the team. There's some people that might not want to do that. He doesn't care. And I think that just speaks to the culture of the environment that we have here.
Last one.
A couple of things. First, Andy said yesterday that Carson playing this week will allow Patrick to do some things that he doesn't typically do in practice. What kind of things will he be doing this week as the starter?
Probably, if anything, I'm guessing Coach is probably talking a little bit more mental, just being able to take a step back, almost as a coach, and see it from our perspective when you're not in the play. And then on game day too, I know in these times in the past when Pat can be on the sideline in these moments and kind of see from a coach's perspective what it's like. Sometimes it's a good little reset for you, but he continues to make sure that he's working his feet. Like yesterday, he was back in the back working his feet and trying to keep that going. And more than anything, honestly, it's the mental, just seeing different angles of it.
And what have you seen from Carson so far as you guys are getting ready for this? It's a big opportunity for him to get to go out and have the keys to the offense.
Yeah, he made a little joke yesterday in practice that this is the most he's talked, and it was like one day. It's like he's talked more in one day than he has all year. We kind of chuckled about that, but you just root. I've been following Carson. We all have, but I've been following him from the day he came in this league, and not really knowing him until this year. To see how he's handled himself as a unbelievable number 2 and backup, and what he did in training camp. Now he's going to get an opportunity, and you really appreciate people like him that literally this is not different for him because he's going to start. It's not any different than any week that he goes into. When you find guys like that throughout the season that are like that every week, they're out there, but they're hard to find, and especially when you're as talented as he is. So as a coach, you get pumped up, you get excited, and you want to go out there and do everything you can to help him go out and lead the team to a win.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, again, take care.
All right, there's Matt Nagy. Their job to stay prepared if they're not playing this weekend. And the turnovers have been a combination of decision-making by Patrick Mahomes, accuracy, players being more aware of ball security when they're running with the football, and Patrick Mahomes in practice more mental, taking a step back, seeing it from a coach's perspective, but also saying yesterday he was over there working on his feet, but still Matt Nagy going back to saying more mental than anything. And during the game, he can stand over and sort of see what it is, that perspective of watching the game as opposed to being out there on offense and going through it every single play. Maybe you learn some things, pick some things up, a little reset. Here's Joe Blameyer for the wide receivers coach for the Chiefs.
Well, to be honest, my interaction with Carson this week is not as much as it usually would be. In the previous weeks when he was running the scout team, I was, had a little bit more. I've got a lot on my plate this week with my group, so my interaction with Carson's been minimal, although I will say he was one of the first people I ran into this morning when I got here, which I thought to myself, you know what, that's pretty cool that he's going to get an opportunity this week. People wouldn't know. He's in here at 6 a.m. every day through the course of the year when he's not preparing to be the starter. But it was cool to see him this morning in that same environment and know he's going to get an opportunity this week. Happy for him.
What is it like getting during the season
Through the course of the year when he's not preparing to be the starter.
This week?
But it was cool to see him this morning in that same environment and know he's going to get an opportunity this week. Happy for him.
What is it like getting guys who don't get the snaps typically during the season to get them prepared for a Week 18 game?
It's a fun challenge, to be honest. I think back, we've had some of these examples, and we'll see how this goes this week. You got to get everybody ready to play, and you're doing that each and every week. But when there's a little bit more of a likely opportunity for them, it's fun to see all of their hard work kind of come to fruition and them to get an opportunity to show where they're at and show their progression. I think about Cam Jones a year ago in a game similar to this that got a tremendous opportunity. And, you kind of see him through training camp, you see him all through the year, but you don't necessarily have a great pulse on, okay, how far has he really come? And then you get him out there on the field and you say, oh, okay.
like this guy's made some strides here over the course of the season that are tangible, that you can see on the field now. That's a beautiful process as a coach to see.
It's been 2 seasons now, but as you look back, what kind of impact do you feel like Drew Tranquill had as far as an outside addition and how he kind of changed the room in his own way?
It's been fantastic. He's a very good football player. He does a great job for us on the field. He's an even better human being. Smart guy, works hard, cares about the guys around him. He's brought some levity and some energy to the room. He's got us. He's got the rookie Swayze Bozeman in charge of us picking college games every week for the guys in the room, all of our alma maters, and we got kind of a running banter going, and a bracket for the playoffs now. So he's got an energy and an ability to keep things light that's refreshing over the long grind of a season.
What do you want from, we talked about reserves who get to play, but how about from your starters? What kind of responsibility do they have this week?
Well, I'd say there's a lot, those guys are, and it's a great group that I've got in that regard. They're incredibly engaged. There's also an awareness that this is a division opponent that we may see again potentially. We're obviously going to see again next year. So there's some meat there in terms of getting to understand their program and their personnel and who they are and what they do, that regardless of how many snaps you're going to play is valuable. They've done a great job with that. And there's also, particularly specific to Nick Bolton, Drew, Leo, those guys in my room, you see the pride that they take in the group. They feel like if another guy's going to be in there, it's their responsibility to make sure they're ready to go, that they're prepared, that all of those little detail things are taken care of. Not that they haven't been doing that, but there's a little bit more heightened situation when they feel like the guy's going to maybe get a little bit more playing time.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, there's Joe Daly, who is, one, not the offensive or the wide receivers coach, and also not the passing game coordinator, and is not Joe Blameyer, because it is Brandon Daly. So it's neither a Joe, nor a Blameyer, nor an offensive coach. I was led astray. That was Brendan Daly, the linebackers coach for the Chiefs. We will hear of the next 3 guys to the podium, Andy Heck, Joe Blameyer, or Donald D'Alicio. And we'll find out after they talk who it actually was. We'll try to get it right this time.
All you can do is try your best, Jason.
Right.
That's all you can do.
It's okay to make a mistake, just don't make the same mistake twice. And I'm not going to, because I will not say that is Joe Blameyer, the wide receivers coach. I won't say that twice. I'll say it only one time, because he's the pass game coordinator. Nor will I say this is Joe Blameyer and it's actually Brendan Daly, because Brendan Daly has already talked.
Yeah.
So I won't make that mistake, because if I say it's Joe Blameyer and it's not,
Who you gonna blame?
Won't be Brendan
you
Daly.
You could throw someone under the bus if you wanted to.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm fine. I mean,
good job, Patrick.
Obviously, it's Sterling's fault.
Hey!
Let's be honest. I mean, Sterling is the
Whoa!
one texting and letting people know who's talking, and Sterling's like, "Oh, I know who that looks like. That's Joe Blameyer, definitely the wide receivers coach."
Oh, come on. Come on.
Okay, it's not Sterling. He's just sitting here with me. That's fine. But it was an easy target. Okay? You're like DeAndre Hopkins. Just an easy target.
Yeah, and like D-Hop, I catch it.
I know. It's great, which is awesome, and you don't throw it back, which is even better. You just give it to the ref.
I'm professional.
That's right.
I've been there before.
You're just ready to play the next snap. Always on to the next snap for Sterling. We will hear from the offensive line coach, Andy Heck, the pass game coordinator, Joe Blameyer, and the safeties coach, Donald D'Alicio. Again, no Dave Merritt and no Joe Cullen. But yeah, Brendan Daly. It was odd, hey, here's the wide receivers coach, and he's talking a lot about the linebackers.
A lot about the linebackers.
Yeah, it was really, really weird, man.
He knows where to attack them.
Well, here's what they're doing with the week that it doesn't matter. The coaches are switching.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's like Little League with
Brendan
the shortstops
Daly
now playing third. Everyone rotates one over, right? First,
it's
now
a league
play
game.
second.
It's a league game, guys. It's not a big deal. Ain't a tournament game. We can switch positions here. League game. So Brendan Daly is coaching the offensive line.
The point guard now gets to do tip-off, right? On the jump
ball.
Look at that little guy, that little rascal.
Fun. The big guy gets to bring the ball down a couple of times, just see what it's like to be the point guard.
And he dribbles off his foot, and you're like, oh, that's silly.
That was fun, though.
Yeah.
Big guy. Let him shoot a 3 from time to time. Here's who? Who? This is, I'm told, safeties coach Donald D'Alessio. If it's not my fault.
There may be a little more snaps that they're going to have to play conditioning wise and things like that. But mentally, they're going through the same process they go through each week, just not knowing they all could be one play away. One guy gets hurt in the middle of a game and then somebody's got to go play the next 60 plays that it is. So our week is kind of consistent week in and week out.
As you've gotten to know him and seen him, what's been the ceiling in your mind for someone like Jaden Hicks, who seems to really turn it on at the end of the year here?
Yeah, from the first day Jaden's got here, he's gone about it the right way. He comes in, works hard, wants to learn. He's got a great attitude. He's always smiling, happy to be in the building, loves football. When those rookies get here, we throw a lot at them early just to see what they can handle, how they can process things. And then we know it's going to shrink and slow down as the year goes on. And I think that's kind of what people are seeing now. He's got the confidence, the reps are starting to come, and he's able to go out there and play fast.
He seems to have a knack for that, good, clean hit. I guess how nuanced is that nowadays to pull off?
Yeah, it's hard. Just people don't practice tackling a lot, especially in college. And then when you get to this level, it happens a lot, obviously, just in the game. And we practice it as much as we can, but he does have a great feel for that. And that was something we saw on tape, with him coming out of college. I'm glad we're able to see it translate to this level.
What was the coaching point on the penalty he got the other day?
Yeah, that's something. We made a great play, but go celebrate with your teammates. Don't worry about doing that, in front of the opponent.
How much does it help you to have someone like Justin Reed, who appears to be a mentor for a lot of guys, including Jaden?
That helps our coaching staff tremendously. Across the board, guys like Nick Bolton, Justin Reed in our room. Trent's a younger guy, but has played a lot of ball. Those guys do a great job with all of the rookies that come into our room and into our defense. And I think that is because they've been there themselves as rookies, or, Justin Reed, a new guy learning our defense, and they know everything that kind of comes with it. And they want to help those young guys. And Justin is a great person for Jaden to learn from.
Anything that jumps out to you when you go through the course of the season and tendencies might change, plays might be added? I know Steve is known for putting new stuff in weeks before a playoff game. Just what's it like for you as a coach to try to grasp that yourself before you teach everybody?
Yeah, we as coaches, I think, enjoy it a little bit too. It's a new challenge for us. The season is long, and it's something for us, a new challenge, something that we got to look forward to. And then we find a way to kind of feed it to our players the way that it's going to make sense of them. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're worried about. As long as they understand it, we feel good about it. And Coach Spags does a great job also in the off season of kind of what you were hinting at, throwing everything at the guys. That way, when he wants to pull things in the season, it's not the first time they've heard it.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Jaden Hicks, obviously a big part of what the second half of the season has been, especially as of late with the secondary. I mean, the safeties have been better in coverage. Justin Reed's been better in coverage than he was in the middle of the season when the defense was starting to get picked apart a little bit. We were talking about the secondary struggles that were there. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. We will hear still from, I believe, Joe Blameyer at some point. Okay? But don't quote me on that. But Joe Blameyer, pass game coordinator, and also Andy Heck. So it would be the offensive side here. We got the linebackers coach and the safeties coach. But, yeah, Jaden Hicks has been a big part as of late. And I'll tell you the coaching point on Jaden Hicks' taunting penalty. If you're going to taunt, make sure it's in a part of the game that doesn't matter, like that.
Up 19.
Turnover has already happened. You're getting the ball. You're up 19. If you're going to taunt, do it then. Don't do it at the end of third down when they're getting ready to punt.
Yeah.
That's a mistake.
Yeah.
Or if the game's still in doubt. That would be a mistake.
Honestly, what it does is it gives your offense more yards to run the clock out.
It's a veteran move is what that is.
That's a smart play.
That's Jaden Hicks playing like a veteran.
Yeah.
Turnover's already happened. We're up 19. I can taunt all I want.
Well, and you want to get the extra yards so you don't score a touchdown, or you got to get the extra first down yards.
Just helping out the offense.
It just makes sense.
Right.
It just makes sense.
Not my fault that he had the over on Mahomes' passing yards. I have no idea if he did or not, but if he did, then that would be a smart move.
The over yesterday on the Arizona State-Texas game was a wild ride because they started off scoring 17 points in the first 3 minutes.
50.5.
And I go, it was 53.5 is what I had because I took a little extra boost on that bad boy.
Oh, good for you.
Well, yeah, of course, because I knew it was going to go to OT and get crazy. So it was a wild ride. And then it was 24-24. And I'm like, Bert Auburn, don't you dare make that field goal. Bert.
Dude, I had...
By the way, what is Sarkisian
I had Texas
doing?
minus 3.5, so it didn't matter to me at all. I had Oregon as just money line, so none of it mattered really anything with the first game, that game, whatever.
But what about Sark psyching out and icing his own kicker?
Oh,
what
dude,
a wild thing for a head coach to do.
When he went over there and was patting his shoulder pads and talking to him and smiling and everything.
You got it, bud.
You got it, man. You got it. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, he's toast.
I'm like, we all were like, he is not making this. And that thing was a snap hook.
Yeah, and the Arizona State equipment managers walking right through him in his warm-ups on the sideline, that was fantastic. That's just smart, man. They need a raise is what they need. You know, that's strategy. That's, you know what that is? That's a team game. Everybody doing their part. You know, pick up an oar and let's row together. And that's what they did. Walked right in front of Burnt Auburn, getting ready.
Great name. It's just such a phenomenal name for a kicker.
Getting ready to practice. And it was great acting like they didn't do it on purpose. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. I didn't even see you there, warming up to kick a football.
No one is more thrilled than Bert Auburn.
Here's Andy Heck.
So far with his recovery from the hamstring.
Well, he's been working hard at it, and I know he's been making some progress here, so we're continuing to monitor that. But I think he's feeling as good as he could expect to feel.
Is he someone who, I know that's going to be kind of a weird lineup perhaps with the fact that you guys already have the 1 seed down, but how much do you need to see him play a whole game before you get into the playoffs?
Well, first off, I'd say DJ, being a veteran guy, he's played a lot of ball, and so need to see him. I don't know if I'd go there, but we want to get all of our guys ready and healthy.
How impressed have you been with Joe and what he's been able to do, and then by extension, doesn't get mentioned a lot, but Mike stepping in at left guard?
Yeah, Joe has been incredible. First off, he's a great pro. You ask him, hey, can you step in at left tackle? And he did an admirable job doing that. He's a great offensive guard, interior player, but of course he played tackle in college. And so for him to step out there and do that job, hats off to him. And then Mike coming in and filling that left guard role has done a really nice job too. I mean, he's a tough, versatile interior player. That's really continued to grow here in these last couple of years, and so I'm really proud of him.
Andy, what does it mean to you to have 3 interior offensive linemen be named to the Pro Bowl?
It's a great feeling. I'm so happy for those guys, particularly Trey going to getting his first Pro Bowl nod. It's a testament to how hard they work, how much they care about it, how important their craft is to them. And as well as, our scouting department, bringing those guys to us. I mean, those are terrific football players. But more importantly to me, I mean, they're great people. They're great pros. They're fantastic leaders in the room.
And for some of the young guys that may play this weekend, if Hunter gets some reps, if Hanson or Kingsley or Driscoll gets some of those reps, what do you think it'll mean to them to go up against a Denver front like that?
Well, every week we're getting ready, our guys ready, all of our guys ready to play a football game, and nothing's changed there.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
All right, there's Andy Heck, and saying DJ Humphries is working hard and feeling as good as you can expect him to feel. Okay. Depends on how good you would expect him to feel. So
I expect him to feel great.
Good. Then he's feeling feeling great.
Wow.
He's feeling great. And so if that's the case, hey, I want him to be healthy enough to go out and play. Now, Andy Heck said he's a veteran, so if he doesn't play, then doesn't mean that he won't be able to play in the playoffs because he's only played 3.5 quarters this season total. And if he doesn't play this weekend, then the next time he plays will be in the divisional round against the team. Most likely we'll see. Again, my prediction is that they play the Chargers against the team that he played that one game against, in which he, did not exactly look great against Khalil Mack, who exactly he would be going up against.
Not ideal, some say.
Yeah, so you'd like to see him out there going up against another premier pass rusher who's having a career year in Nick Benito, and what DJ Humphries can look like in this game, shaking off some of the rust and showing that maybe going back to Joe Thuney at left guard and DJ Humphries at left tackle could be a positive for this team, and they can continue the offense the way that it's been going, along with adding in a running game to the left side. Because you've hit on that. People have talked about that. The running game has taken a step back. And maybe there's some tired legs. Maybe there's a number of things that go along with that. But
I've been screaming to stop running to the left, especially in short yardage situations. I don't care if it's stacked or not.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything going to the left, whether that's Joe Tooney and Caliendo combo. It could be a multitude of reasons. But, yeah, you would imagine that DJ with Joe back at left guard would at least alleviate some of those concerns. But you know what you have pass block-wise with Joe at left tackle.
Here's pass game coordinator Joe Blameyer.
Change your thought process of preparing week to week?
It didn't change the thought process, but just watching the film, you got an extra level of appreciation for what he brings day to day and how he was able to operate. I mean, we already thought the world of him for what he was doing and what he'd done in his career, but then when you ask him to play a new position and you really don't skip a beat, it just a new level of appreciation.
So just big picture, what has Hollywood done coming back?
Yeah, I think he started to integrate to where we kind of envisioned him this season. He's dynamic. He's a natural receiver. He's got playmaking abilities. It comes naturally to him. So just getting back into that flow, although he has all that natural ability, just doing it again and being in the live fire, I think is good for him just to get back to where he was. So you're starting to see kind of the where he left off in August, and hoping that in January and February he can just really take off.
You know, coaches always talk about how Carson has been for you guys all year long, very steady, working hard. It's got to be a little bit different, working with him a little bit differently this week when he's going to start. And play a little more.
He's. I mean, it brings a smile to my face all through training camp and even the off season, as Pat takes the reps with the starters and the first team, and then Carson comes in with the second group guys during training camp, and he's throwing balls down the field, putting it right on time. I mean, he's a professional quarterback at one of the highest degrees, and so all those guys that were playing with him all through training camp just really appreciated the opportunity to go play with a starting level quarterback, even with the second team. And so we always appreciated that and enjoyed having him here because it was like having another starter out there as we were practicing. And so now he gets to go out and kind of showcase what we've all been seeing all along. So we're excited for him. And the guys that are ready to go catch passes from him are excited for him too, because he's demonstrated it to us all the way back since the spring.
Joe, how would you describe the season that Kelsey had this year?
Typical Trav. He makes huge plays for us. He comes up in the biggest moments big. He does a lot of the kind of the unseen, unwritten stuff that maybe goes without notice to a lot of the outside world, but he makes plays happen for everybody else. He teaches the young guys. He brings our culture and kind of just how we play and how we operate along for all the new guys that are new in the building. So I would say a typical Trav season, even if the stats might indicate a little bit less. So to us, it's been that typical Trav. I mean, he's as valuable as he comes for everything he brings.
Matt was in here a few minutes ago talking about that he was one of the guys who didn't play in that week 18 game last year. And he said he really thought Travis really benefited from having that week off. Number one, did you see that? And if so, how did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that maybe a little different. I saw that as a guy, he had a lot to play for personally and a lot on the line personally at stake. And for the betterment of the team, he said he didn't play for the betterment of the team. He said it would be better for me to rest for us going forward as a team. And I think that, without it even being said, that permeated through the entire locker room. Like, here's a guy who's got everything on the line in regards to this decades-long legacy, and he knows where we're trying to get to in February, and he's given that up for us. And that just goes to some of the things that are unwritten and not seen on the outside that Trav brings to this organization. And so I thought that selfless act last year was a huge part of kind of just galvanizing and getting everybody's vision and focus onto the end goal.
A couple more.
When Xavier came here initially, I mean, there was this thought that he could help your deep passing game. The past couple of weeks, obviously, he's run a lot of the underneath stuff. Just, I wonder what you could speak to his development, his ability to just diversify his route tree late in the season here.
Yeah, it speaks. I think it speaks to his intelligence and his ability to continue to grow and continue to progress week to week, not hit a rookie wall, not be satisfied with one particular niche or one type of receiver. He's been open to expanding all of his routes and then being used in different ways. And so I think it speaks to him. He's been healthy. He's come with a great attitude, trying to learn, trying to get better. And then with that, it's evolved some of those routes and some of the different ways that he's been used. So it's a credit to him. There's a lot on his plate, being used in different positions, being asked to do different things, getting out of the huddle in different situations. And it's a credit to him that we are able to put him in those different spots, because at some point in the past, maybe there's been guys that have been limited to one or a smaller niche of type routes.
Last one, Nate.
When you were talking about Travis's willingness to be obviously a great teammate, something that you can't necessarily see in the box score, you have to obviously watch on video. What's a prime example of him doing that jumps out to you, Joe, for whatever specific reason?
Well, you can see it on a number of different plays in protection or in the run game, in the run fits. He's able to diagnose before it happens some blitzes. So as an example, in the game last week when we hit the big pass to J. Watt, he's got to make a big block on a blitzing nickel. And he does that, and it looks easy for him. That's an alert. That's something that you've got to see beforehand to really be in position. So he's able to, in a pass protection situation, set the pocket to get a deep pass for J. Watt. He does that in the run game. He does that in protection. And then obviously down the field in the routes, we had a long completion to Pirine a few weeks ago, I think against the Texans, where he knew it was man-to-man coverage. The guy was on the line of scrimmage, and he picked Pirine's guy. So those are unwritten. That's just Trav knowing the defense, knowing the game, setting things up for other people. One in the pass game protection-wise, one in a route where he's not even getting the ball. And then that, I'm omitting all the time where we do throw him the ball, right, and he's just getting to the open space. So, I mean, it's just endless, really.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, there you go. There is Joe Blameyer, passing game coordinator. And yes, Travis Kelce not playing last year, had an opportunity to get to 1,000 yards, decided it was better for the team to rest. That made a huge difference because, look, those 3 games leading into Week 18 last year for Travis Kelce, he combined 13 receptions for 88 yards and no touchdowns in the final 3 weeks that he played last year. The next 4 games, he would have 32 catches, 347 yards, and 3 touchdowns throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he turned back into Travis Kelce. That pumpkin turned back into a beautiful carriage when he got that week off. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling, talk a little bit about what we heard from the press conferences from the different coaches, and we will also play some sports or leisure coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next. coaches there as they get set for this last game of the season that has no meaning to the Chiefs, but has massive amounts of meaning for the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins and potentially the Cincinnati Bengals.
The one pushback I'll give, and I agree, I agree with the premise of no meaning for the Chiefs, but not no meaning for all the Chiefs players.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of meaning, and I think that sometimes gets under-talked about and undervalued. Yeah. Guys like Cam Jones or guys who traditionally don't play, who are going to get a FAU even for an example. This is a chance to say, hey, no, you give me more of a role heading into next year.
Yeah.
I think the offensive line, big deal. If the Chiefs cannot re-sign Trey Smith, right? What's going to happen with Joe Tooney? Like, I think there's a lot to play for a lot of these secondary and tertiary guys. That's why the Chiefs covering the 9-point spread, because the Chiefs organization doesn't have a lot to play for, there's a lot building block pieces in for these guys who are trying to keep their job to play for.
Be interested as to who's elevated as well, because you can elevate 2 guys from the practice squad.
Yeah.
So we've heard people talking about Justin Ross, if he's elevated. I mean, we saw him last year play and get some targets. The other guy that I'd be really curious to see if they elevate him, because he's a name that when they signed him, I got excited about it until he talked for the first time when we found out that he was just sitting on his couch, retired, and wasn't really working out.
Yeah.
It was not DJ Humphries. Steven Nelson, like, is he one of the activations in playing this weekend, having now 3 weeks at practice, on the practice squad, getting into football shape, like you would during training camp? I mean, it's not the same because they're not hitting in padded practices the way that you would at training camp, but he wasn't training for football the way that DJ Humphries was training for football. He was retired, and he was at home, and he was jogging a little bit, maybe just trying to stay in shape a little bit, but not to the point that guys work out. Kareem Hunt was working out to get a job in the NFL to play right away, and he did. Steven Nelson was not that. So is he a guy that gets activated this weekend? Because there's no reason for Trent McDuffie to play, no reason for
it's a bummer you can only activate 2, quite frankly.
You can only bring up 2 from the practice squad.
Each week,
who will they be? I don't know. Maybe it's offensive linemen. Maybe they try to get this offensive line group as much rest as possible. And so the guys that you already have on your offensive line, like Kingsley and Wanya and Norzad and Driscoll.
I think Caliendo plays. We could play a fun game if you wanted to of who would you play, but
who would you play?
But like I think
we'll do that tomorrow. We'll play that fun game of who would you play.
Yeah, because I think it's an exciting game of
who would you play?
Yeah,
it's we're going to play who would you play, which is an exciting game of who would you play.
Oh yeah, the name of the game and what you do is in the title.
Yeah, and the question would be like, do you sit a Joshua Williams or a Najee Johnson who need as many reps as possible out there?
Oh,
like,
you know how you find that out?
How?
On a game of Who Do You Play? I have a mustache and everything. I can beat Steve Harvey.
That's a good call.
I'll come in a big suit. I'll do it.
An oversized suit?
Oversized suit. I will do it.
Somebody was replaying this morning the video of remember when Gronk spiked Steve Harvey's Lego?
Yeah, that did not look planned. That looked like
Steve Harvey was mad. He was so mad.
I would be too. Also, if you built that,
no doubt.
Pissed.
Well, Steve Harvey was going to keep that.
Yes,
like
of
he
course.
was going to put it like in his office or something, the bust of him as a Lego, and it looked pretty damn good. It
was awesome.
And Gronk spiked it. Gronk spiked the Legos.
I would be so
It's
mad.
a little bit like Kevin Hart on the commercial with LeBron.
How long do you think it would have took someone to build?
Oh my God, I have no idea. Weeks?
Yes.
Well, I mean, Lego Masters, maybe it's a day for them. I have no idea. No clue how long it would take somebody to do that. But
long enough that I would be irate if someone did that.
Yeah, you should. You would be Bonnie irate if somebody did that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was bad. I know.
No, that was pretty good for you.
Rough start to 2025.
A Bonnie rate poll from Jason is not one I had.
Bonnie irate.
Yeah.
Not Bonnie rate. Bonnie irate. But if you're gonna activate Steven Nelson and play him, like, okay, does Joshua Williams play? Does Najee Johnson play? Certainly Christian Roland Wallace should be out there playing. Keith Taylor would be playing.
Yeah.
Jaden Hicks playing. Shamari Connor's been practicing this week. So, do you keep him out? Or do you say, you know what, he's missed a couple of weeks already. You want to get him out there and play because he's missed a few weeks and then has another couple of weeks. So that would be like a month and a half from a concussion that Shamari Connor might miss if he doesn't
Bush,
play.
I think is
Bush
still on because he was elevated last week as long as he wasn't sent back down.
Yeah, I don't know if he was or not.
Because Deion Bush was activated last week off of the practice squad, but I don't know if he's still in the 53 because of the Chamari
don't
concussion.
remember there being any moves or anything where he was sent back down. But Deion Bush did play last week. The guys who were on the active roster but did not play: Shamari Connor, Uche. This will be an Uche game.
So Uche. Oh, by the way, Connor's being on the active roster already in the 53 does help because Deion Bush would mean that you wouldn't have to send him down to activate Connor. That's actually because you can only activate 2 practice squad guys.
You didn't put Connor on the IR.
Yes, exactly. So that's pretty big actually.
Shamari Connor, Joshua Uche, C.J. Hansen, DJ Humphreys, Ethan Driscoll, Malik Herring, and Chris Jones were the guys who were active.
Malik Herring
were on the team but did not play.
Malik Herring's going to have a big dose of him.
Yeah, and again, C.J. Hansen, Ethan Driscoll, Caliendo.
Does Creed Humphreys start to keep the start streak alive?
I see what you're saying. I mean, Josh Allen is, right, for the Bills.
I bet Creed starts the first drive or the first play.
He probably should. If it means something to him, then start him. You're going to have a number of offensive linemen active anyway.
Quarterback spike to start the game. Start him.
Just one.
Get him off the field.
That's a Neal.
First play, handoff, Carson Steele. But it would be great if you just took the ball and kneeled. I know, so you don't have to worry about him. No, it's just you know what it is? Snap. Quick pass outside to Justin Watson.
There you go.
And then Creed Humphrey out of the game. You started. You kept the streak in.
I was half serious, but I wanted to find a more optically pleasing way to do what I was saying.
Those quick passes where Creed Humphrey snaps it, takes 2 steps back, doesn't have to really block.
All
good. Enjoy the sideline, Creed Humphrey. Go ahead and have you a hot dog, get you a baseball cap on, a visor, whatever you're into wearing.
Hunter Norzad, get in there.
Get on in there, Hunter, or Caliendo, or Hansen, or whoever else. I don't care.
I think Norzad would be the center. I think in that instance.
He's been the backup center for this team. Just haven't needed him out there in the game to be a backup center. So
who's running the football outside of Carson Steele?
Carson Steele.
No. Outside, there's going to be a situation where you're going to have another guy.
No, I just think it's Carson Steele the whole time.
65 snaps for Carson Steele.
Carson Steele just take the entire workload. Just all Carson Steele. Who's on the practice squad? Who's the running back?
Keontae Ingram.
Okay, there you go. Well, no, you can only activate.
That's what I'm saying. Only activate 2 guys. Is Samaje
moved on from Clyde?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to activate Keontae?
I mean, is Samaje?
You're not going to play Pacheco with the ribs.
No, Andy Reid's already said that. Pacheco's not playing. Kareem Hunt, you don't need to play him.
Well, I know you don't need to, but I'm saying you might.
It'd be Pirine. Pirine in there as a third down back. Carson Steele, you're running the ball. It's just Carson Steele. Honestly, because of Denver's defense being so good and backup offensive linemen, I don't know how many plays they'll run in this game.
Chris Oladokin, get ready.
Oladokin's going to play.
You're another third string running back.
No, he's going to play. I mean, Peter Schrager said that it's going to be Carson Wentz and Oladokin that'll play in the game. And Andy Reid said yesterday, Carson Wentz will start. And then as the game goes along, we'll figure out, other things, which is Carson Wentz will start. I'm not telling you for sure Oladokin's going to play, but I'm telling you there's a pretty good chance that Carson Wentz is going to start and not finish the game at quarterback.
Well, I'm sure it's up to Carson. It all will depend on because Carson's probably going to say, hey, do I want to play and put some numbers up to try and get a job next year, or at least a backup gig?
Am I getting beat to hell with a backup offensive line in there against a really good defensive front for Denver?
Correct.
And maybe I want to keep playing, but this offense is not doing much. That's my concern, dude. That's my concern on Sunday is when you've got
the rug gets pulled out from underneath him.
Yeah, the offensive line really brings the whole offense together. It really does. And so without that offensive line there, and against a good defensive front for Denver, I don't know how effective the offense overall is going to be with a backup running back and a backup quarterback and backup receivers against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Who's Pat Surtain guarding? Because Hollywood shouldn't play, Worthy shouldn't play.
Is Nick Benito the marmot in this instance?
I'll take your word for it, yeah. I think that's probably who you would go with. Yeah.
He's the marmot.
I don't know that we really need to. We don't have time to go through and really put a character next to each person on the field for the Chiefs and the Broncos. It would be. Maybe tomorrow we do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we do that with Mick Schaefer tomorrow.
We
figure out who is who. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone right after this. All right, coming up a couple of hours from now, we will have the Sugar Bowl for you right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB starting at 3 o'clock. The program from 2 to 3, and then the Sugar Bowl will start Notre Dame and Georgia today at 3 o'clock. That'll lead into then the Gator Bowl tonight with Duke and Ole Miss. What is the line on that game? Notre Dame is a 1-point favorite in that game against Georgia without Carson Beck. You got what? Gunnar Stockton. I mean, what a hell of a name. Gunnar Stockton.
Oh, I'm ripping. Alt line. Georgia, minus 6.5.
You know that guy broke? He has the Georgia record for touchdown passes and rushing touchdowns in Georgia, which is was broken by Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields, who were like the quarterbacks that had the record, and he has both of them now.
If you think I am not ripping.
It's like Carson Beck's out. They got this scrubs, who's having to fill in the guy who has both the passing and rushing touchdown record in Georgia high school history, has to fill in, and a guy by the name of Gunnar Stockton.
If you think I did not rip Uga, you're out of your mind.
45.5.
I've also been absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I was going to say, how you been? How you living, Biggie Smalls?
Not good, Bob.
Yes,
not
right.
good.
Did you see the stat of the teams that have not had a bye and what they've done in these 3 quarterfinal games in the first quarter? The teams that played the first round.
Okay.
So that would be, Penn State and the Nittany Lions.
Texas.
It would be Ohio State and Texas.
Well, Texas put up 14 points in 2 minutes.
They have outscored their opponents 42-3 in the first quarter.
Rust.
The teams that played last week.
Rust versus rest, baby.
So you're ripping UGA, but Notre Dame would be the one that would be in line with that, and they are the 1-point favorites. And the favorites are 7-0, straight up.
Yeah, well, Georgia.
So you're saying you're going to bet against the trend.
The narrative.
So you're going to do what a lot of people do in Vegas and go, you know what? I know it's been red 18 straight times.
Yes.
I'm feeling black.
I see all this gold,
all
this gold and these chandeliers and these super nice.
Vegas usually,
fine china.
Vegas has built these hotels by people betting on trends.
Correct.
Betting against the trend is really how you beat Vegas.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Good for you, man.
We have to remember Sterling hates Notre Dame, so it's kind of a trend.
Sorry, Grunny.
What do you have against Catholics?
I don't know.
Sorry, Grunny. It's nothing against Catholics.
I kind of feel like it might be.
Join a conference.
It's the conference of
They're
of
doing
Catholics.
well with that one.
Join a conference.
Yeah,
Stop trying to be cool.
Come to the Big 12 if you are, for sure. You can be
No.
Texas. You can be like old Texas.
It would. I
basically.
mean, they've got the contract to where it would have been like the ACC, but now the ACC teams don't even want to be in the ACC.
That's
It's
also true.
Why would Notre Dame join a conference with the ACC? Plus, they get that home game. Plus, they get the advantage in the quarterfinal round of having played in the Sweet 16, as we've seen, and they get the home game gate. Come on, that's a perfect world that Notre
Join
Dame's
a
living in.
conference.
They're going to be the 5 seed like every year. Notre Dame 5 seed. But it's funny. We were talking about in 5 or 6 or 7 years, and when they go to 16 teams, what the impact of playing the first game would be versus having a bye. Look, it's year 1, but it is also only one of those teams that was hey, they got the bye because they were a top 5 team in the in the nation. Boise State was the 3 seed, but was not the number 3 team in America. Arizona State was the 4 seed, was not the number 4 team in America, although they showed out quite well against Texas.
Took
and
them
Texas,
a bit, but yes, after that first couple possessions, I thought, oh, wow.
Yeah. Notre Dame was number 5 in the country, but they were number 7 in the number 7 seed, but number 5 in your heart.
And then Oregon plays today, correct? At
No.
least that's what the players and coaches thought.
It's a good call. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, me
dude?
too. But that was
well done. That was well
Very
set up.
well done.
Sterling. Nice job. You're on fire here in the new year.
Thank you.
Maybe the extra booze and cigars and junk food is helping you.
Keeps me level.
Absolutely.
Keeps me level.
People always say bad nutrition is good for brain health.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of studies done on that. That's the way I read it, at least. So I'm going to go with that theory.
It's big health food. They're really trying to bring you down.
Big McDonald's. Big. Yeah, it's
The Taco Bell diet is just...
Well, they have chicken nuggets now, so now they're giving you chicken.
Yeah.
You got your choice between, chicken in a nugget form.
Well, and also right next to the station, we have Kentucky Hut.
Yeah.
Although I
right.
think they took away the hut.
There's no
just
no hut.
Kentucky
It's just
now.
Kentucky. It's just Kentucky Bell. Yeah, it's Big Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Is really trying
Big
to,
Whole Foods is really trying to bring you down.
Oh, look, if you eat nuts and berries, it's good for your brain. Yeah, sure, whatever. Tell that to the person whose brain isn't working because they are starving to death. You know, that's what I would say. You know, I am full on the Chiefs burger that is being sold at Carl's Jr. in Cancun, Mexico. I learned that yesterday. If we had to learn funniest best, I would learn that. Got a buddy who was in Cancun for the New Year, took a picture, says, "What the hell is this?" He's a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. He said, "What the hell is this?" And it's a Chiefs burger at the Carl's Jr. So I looked it up. Only in Cancun.
Wow.
Only in Cancun where you can get the Chiefs burger.
Not
at
even
Hardee's.
in Kansas City.
Not even in Kansas City
Yeah.
can you get a Hardee's Chiefs burger. Only in Cancun do you get the Chiefs burger.
I think
with a red bun.
I also learned that Carl's Jr. Is it Carl's Jr. or Hardee's in Cancun? That's the real question.
It's the Carl's Jr. in Cancun. It's Hardee's here in Kansas City.
Well, I didn't know.
But it's the same company.
Well, no, I get. I know it's the same.
Right.
That's my point. Was which one was it in Cancun?
It's Carl's Jr. in Cancun.
Wow.
Yep.
The
Carl's in
C's.
Cancun.
Yeah, the
Right,
alliteration.
It's Hardee's in the Heartland. Where's the next? next hour. Still catching up from the press conferences of Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo, and assistant coaches, Chiefs, and Andy Reid. Still deciding as to who's going to play, who's not going to play.
That's Brett Veach's job. I would love Andy would. That's Veach's decision.
It's not even Brett. It's Veach's. Veach will handle that.
Yeah.
Veach will handle that.
Veach will handle that.
Who was it that was? It was Spags. Spags that was asked about who's playing, not playing, and he said, well, Andy's figuring those things out. And then at the end of his press conference said, well, the guys that aren't playing have been right next to the guys that are filling in for him in practice. And
you told on yourself.
Hold on, Steve. You said you don't know who's starting and not starting. And then the guys who aren't starting and playing are right next to the guys filling in. Who would those be, Steve? Sports or Leisure next.
Have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports
or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, time for a little sports or leisure. 913-381-0810 to play some sports or leisure. 913-381-0810. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. If you get a sports question and a leisure question right, you win $25 to Johnny's Tavern, Kansas City's premier sports bar. 10 locations, including Lawrence and Topeka. And on Monday, however many points the Chiefs score, you can get that percentage off a large specialty pizza, dine-in only, at all of the Johnny's Tavern locations. They do that the Monday after Chiefs games. We'll see what the percentage off is going to be on Monday, but hey, it'll save you a little bit of cheddar with that the pie that you have. That you'll also may have cheddar on it. I don't know.
Probably mozzarella.
Yeah, but you never know what you're going to
get.
Maybe there's a hamburger pizza. I don't know. That typically comes with some cheddar, right?
Sure.
So, I'm more of a matzo guy. But Johnny's Tavern, awesome stuff. Espinachos, the Wilson wings, great stuff at Johnny's Tavern. $25 we give away. We don't give it away. You really got to earn it. I mean, this is a difficult game to get the questions right.
It's a game
you get
called Most People Win.
You get one chance to answer, and if you get it wrong, we immediately hang up on you, and then Dylan curses you out. And then he finds out where your family lives, and then sends them random texts and letters for some reason. That's what this game is. That's the chance you're taking by participating in this game. It is that difficult to win in sports.
That's the sports side. And on the leisure side, we're very laid back.
Leisure side, Sterling's like, no. That wasn't your final answer. That was only your fourth guess. But that wasn't his. He's just guessing out loud is what he's doing.
Yeah.
No, we're looking for the movie. It's specifically called Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation. Yep, he got it right and nailed it. Nice job. Well done. Good work there, buddy. All right, so here's what we do on the sports side, leisure side. Let's go through the categories here. 913-381-0810 is the phone number. So on the sports side, I have a couple of categories. I have the Patrick Mahomes debut game. Chiefs Broncos 2017. They rested their starters. So now Chiefs Broncos this weekend in Denver, resting their starters. So we look back on that Chiefs and Broncos game of 2017, and we have questions surrounding that game. That's one category. The other category would be general NFL. Probably have some more college football stuff next week, but general NFL and also Chiefs, Broncos, Patrick Mahomes debut game and questions around that. Chiefs in Denver resting their starters. What about on the leisure side, Sterling?
We have New Year, Same Me, which is New Year's questions. All questions in regards to New Year's and New Year's Eve.
Great.
Then we also have riddles. So now you have to choose, There's no more easy ones, folk.
Oh, wow.
We're doing riddles as the second option.
So only riddles are the only two categories.
Riddles and New Year, Same Me. I'm tired of giving everything away so easy. It's a new year.
Well, I thought you just said that leisure is when you guys are more leisurely about it.
That was last year.
Well, you already contradicted yourself. That was like 90 seconds
That was a
into
Stephen
it.
A. Smith special
That was
right
90
there.
seconds ago.
Yeah.
That's a Stu Gatz right there. That was great, you hung out with him for a couple days in Tahoe, and now all of a sudden you're doing that quickly. Oh, leisure, it's easy to win. No more easy wins over here on leisure. We're going to be sticklers. We're going to stick strictly to the rules of sports or leisure. Are there rules? Not really. It's sort of a general guidelines. That's all.
Vibes only.
There are no rules. Put your shirt back on, Sterling. Okay, there's one rule. Sterling must keep his shirt on at all times.
But I can do the Pooh Bear.
That's the main rule, actually. That's the absolute main rule. There's no Donald ducking. There's
Donald
no Pooh
ducking,
Bear.
yeah.
There's none of that here. Okay?
The Pooh Bear is the
Donald ducking.
older guy in the gym locker room special.
That's not even a Pooh Bear. That's just simply.
And why are they eating a clementine while doing it? Why?
But why? But why do they just? Oh God, Dylan, that wasn't on the air, so that was in our ear. But that's a tip of the cap to you, sir. A tip of the cap. All right, 9-1. Let's get to the dang game. 913-381-0810. I'm good to go. Sterling, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Dylan, what say you?
Really? Can you feel the tension in the air right now? I know I can. I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
Okay. I think that's Dylan's ready. I think that means he's ready to go.
Correct. Yes.
Nice, Dylan.
All right.
Speaking of plums.
without further ado, I don't know what that means.
Sugar plums.
Let's go to Lindsay leading us off here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Lindsay, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
I'd like to start with sports before I lose my butt on the riddle section.
Okay, there we go. You can also do that with working out, now that we've got all these New Year's resolutions, things like that. So sports for you, do you want Chiefs, Broncos, Mahomes debut game, or the general NFL?
The debut, please.
All right, very good. 2 players scored a touchdown for the Chiefs in the game. You know what? It's the first question. Name one.
Albert Wilson.
Sterling, what do you think about the everybody wins game?
It's a great game.
Okay. Was that his first answer, or was he just thinking out loud?
Were you thinking out loud, Lindsay, or was that your final answer?
Maybe it was Sherm. I don't know. Oh, man. That's silence. You guys are good at that.
Mark that, Dylan. It's typically the best part of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, God, they stopped talking. I can breathe now.
Right.
You didn't have to agree with that, Lindsay.
I disagree with anything you guys say.
Oh, thank you.
D-Rob?
No, it was not
Oh,
D-Rob.
my
It was not
God.
D-Rob, or
Well,
it was not that. Lindsay, it's a rough start to the 2025 year, but it's only up from here,
It's
though.
not going to get any better. I'm just going to keep calling in and losing. So
It's up from here, though,
maybe-
man.
Yeah, you got that right. Hey, I wanted to say something about something you said earlier.
Great.
Dude, the high school football positions are getting crazy. I was talking to some of my cousins at Christmas. I don't see them that much. I was like, what positions do you guys play? And they brought up that, I play Joker. I play Robber. Man, these kids, man, I just played middle linebacker, baby. That's all
You
I
were the
know.
mic.
Hey,
That was it.
that's right, baby. Hey, thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay. Note to self, don't mess with Lindsay.
Question, he
So,
kind of got it right.
I don't
by
know
the
much
way.
about Lindsay and his stature other than he played Mike linebacker in high school.
Yeah,
I'm
he
probably
could-
not going
he
to
could
mess
kick
with
our
Lindsay.
ass, guaranteed.
Lindsay might have been the man that Curtis hired to go and see who decided not to put Dave Merritt up there at the podium.
He kind of got that question right. Kind
But
of.
he had 2 guesses that
Before
were
he-
official guesses.
Yeah, he didn't have one of them wasn't the official.
Yeah,
one.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's tough.
It was a passing glance at one of the players.
Was it-
We
he
couldn't
grazed,
give him 3.
He grazed the answer,
the-
but didn't land one of the
Yeah.
punches on the answer. Let's go to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
What were the leisure categories?
We have riddles and New Year Same Me, which is just New Year's questions.
I'll start with the sports. I'll do the Chiefs question.
All right, there's one out there, or there's plenty of fresh ones. What say you?
I'll do the one that's out there.
All right, 2 Chiefs players scored a touchdown in the game. Name one of them. DeMarcus Robinson and Albert Wilson were both guessed. Both of those were incorrect. What say you?
Harris.
What happened to the new year? It's everyone wins is not becoming everyone
Not
wins.
everyone wins.
Yeah.
Andrew?
He did have Demetrius Harris did have 73 yards that game.
He did. He had himself a nice game.
And Albert Wilson had
was great.
147. Yeah.
Why you? There's a whole category here of things here, buddy. It's a whole category here, Sterling. It's a whole category of questions.
Just kidding.
It's not just one question. There's a whole category here of things that
Could have
may
been
happen
just
in
one
that game.
question.
I mean, no, it's not. Well, you're right. It could have been. All right. So. Lindsay had a couple of chances. We'll just say that you were just, thinking
That was your
out
first
loud.
one. Now's your final one.
You were just thinking out loud. So.
Okay.
We're generous.
It's the new year. It's a new us. It's no longer sticklers, and you get one chance to win.
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt's correct. Kareem Hunt is correct. He had the first touchdown of the game, the 35-yard touchdown on his only carry in the game.
Yep.
And then he rested. The other person to get a touchdown, Lindsay with the glancing blow, Anthony Sherman.
Yeah.
Anthony Sherman was the main running back in that game. He got like 15 carries, and he got a touchdown in the game. So Kareem Hunt and Anthony Sherman, remember, the first game of Patrick Mahomes' career, he ended with no touchdowns and 1 interception. And a fourth-quarter comeback in which he didn't throw a touchdown in the fourth-quarter comeback. It was technically it wasn't a comeback. it was a game-winning drive.
Yes.
So to kick the field goal there to win the game for the Chiefs. But yeah, Kareem Hunt and Anthony Sherman scored touchdowns in the game. They also had a defensive touchdown in the game for the Chiefs. Over to Leisure with Sterling.
We have riddles and New Year's Say Me, which again is just New Year's questions.
Ooh, not very good with riddles, but not sure the New Year's topic. I'll try the riddle.
Oh, wow. Okay. Riddles. What is at the end of everything? Yeah, Jason got it. Jason Anderson got it already. Good job. Good job, Anderson.
Nailed it.
Dylan, do you know what's at the end of everything? Yeah, Dylan knows.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
That's right.
What is at the end of everything?
Anything? Nothing?
The end of everything.
Actually, the end of the...
I got it.
Yeah.
G.
It is G.
It is a G.
There
Nice
we
job.
go.
It is a
See,
G.
riddles aren't too bad, guys. They're not. Everyone psychs himself out.
See, and he got that right on his first guess.
Boom!
Because you weren't going to give him another one.
No.
That was you're. I mean, look, man. Sterling is direct and to the point. He is a stickler. He, rules with an iron fist.
Unless
And
I'm
so-
giving away Jason's questions.
That's right. That's exactly right. Andrew will put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
There we go. 913 9. How about not the text line? 913-3810810. Texting it is not going to do you any good, okay? You can answer on the text line all day. It just isn't going to help you win $25 at Johnny's Tavern. Let's see. Avery is up next on Sports Radio 810. Avery, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do Patrick Mahomes' debut.
Okay, great. So I'm glad that we got the answer there in the previous one, so you didn't just go, I'd like the Kareem Hunt or Anthony Sherman question, please.
You like it when I do that?
I do, actually, yes. I just don't like when you get layups because, we like to challenge you, okay? So here's the most difficult question in the debut category, Avery. You ready? This is your own fault, by the way. I mean, you're a victim of your own success. So Tyler Bray's first play of the game resulted in what? Yeah, he's thinking about it. He just did. Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was an incompletion, right? But something more specific?
Oh, something very specific because it wasn't an incompletion.
I was hoping you were going to ask me about Akeem Hunt in that game. This guy in our fantasy league, he tried dominating him like in the first round of our auction draft to see if somebody would think it was Kareem Hunt.
Oh, my God. And he had to keep him?
Yeah, you had to keep him.
Did he play him in Week 18? Well, I guess who
I
plays?
think he dropped him before the season.
Yeah, I was going to say who plays fantasy football in Week 18.
By the way, I thought Tyler Bray was going to be a stud.
Of course you did. Of course
Wrong.
you did. And you were very vocal about Mahomes being a bust.
Not true there.
So vocal.
That was a lie.
I didn't know you then, so I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Total guess. No, the first play.
First play
for Tyler Bray.
Why was Tyler Bray in the game? He came in because Pat stepped out for a second?
They were up 24-10. So they went ahead and gave Patrick in his debut a break.
Yeah, and then the Broncos came back.
They did.
They're up 24-10.
And they came back because the first play.
Did they fumble it?
Well, I don't know. Don't answer a question with a question, son.
Why shouldn't I answer a question with a question?
Because that's not an answer. That's another question. And then we can just keep doing this.
Could it be the correct answer?
Well, I mean, yes, it could. I mean, anything could be the correct answer. I mean, yes, it could. It also could not.
So there's a chance that he could have fumbled it, and that was what happened?
I mean, that could be part of the answer, yes.
Part of it. I mean, I'll say he got sacked and fumbled it, and they got the ball. They scored a touchdown, and then their player handed the ball to a sickly child in the front row, and then they got fined for giving that ball to the child. And then Travis Kelce paid that fine because he's like, man, no, I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
That sucks. That actually was. Hold on, don't hang up, Avery. The only thing wrong with that is Kelsey didn't pay the fine. So what do we do here? It was a scoop and score touchdown. Tyler Bray's first play in that game, he fumbled the ball, and the Broncos scooped and scored. So you did say he fumbled and they scored a touchdown.
Yeah, so we'll
and he did hand it to a sickly child, and he did eventually get fined, but Kelsey did not pay for the fine. So I don't know. What do we do here?
That's pretty good, I think.
What do we do here?
I say we allow it.
Okay, very good. Leisure with
Our
with
largesse
Sterling.
knows no bounds.
All right, I'll let you pick for me, Sterling.
All right. This is kind of fun. Name one of the 2 years in which the Times Square ball did not drop. If you get close to the year, I'll understand just kind of the reason why the Times Square ball did not drop.
All right, I think in 1400 it didn't drop.
That is a great call. Great call.
The ball.
That is great call. That is 100% true.
He got me on a technicality.
Yeah, but it did not drop in 1400 at Times Square.
When they started doing the Times Square ball drop until now, only 2 years have they not had it drop.
Since they
Why?
started. Okay, so he did technically
Or
answer
what, 2
your
years?
question correctly. Now, the amended question.
I'll say maybe 2021 they didn't do it because they didn't want people around for COVID.
That's not true.
Oh, Avery.
It's not true,
That's
Avery.
Rough, that's rough, Avery. You're too good. You're too good, Avery. It's 2025.
Avery, you should have known. You're going to realize this one.
Yeah. Avery, good try, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. I love you guys. Have fun.
Yes, love you too. He's a victim of his own success. See, that's the thing.
Well,
If
that
Avery
wasn't even
wasn't so good typically,
He
then
could have got this one.
He could have, absolutely.
Jason got this one.
What is that supposed to mean?
You're not as smart as Avery.
Boy, that is damning with faint praise right there.
100% it is.
Jason got this one right.
Yeah.
A child could figure this one out.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, guy. Let's go with Shane. Next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Shane, sports or leisure? What side would you like to start with?
Hi, guys. Just want to say Happy New Year to you.
And to you as well, sir.
Thank you. Sports, I want to do the Holmes first game.
Okay, very good. Who caught the first pass of Patrick Mahomes' career? I'll tell you, he's already been named in some of the answers here today.
Well, the guy that had a lot of catches in that game might be my best guess.
Well, maybe it isn't your best guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not your best guess.
Yeah, I know.
I just remember this pass. It sticks out of the entire game. For whatever reason, this pass is the first thing I think of that entire game because he threaded it between three guys. It was 3rd down and 10, and he put it right over the middle, right over, I think, 2 linebackers, right in front of a safety, and it landed in the triangle into the hands of this player. And I thought, oh, my God. That was...
Was it surprising he caught it?
It's always surprising when that guy caught something.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on this guy. All right. Well, I really don't know for sure. I can't remember that far back. I can't remember last week. I'll just take a guess.
Couldn't remember last year even.
Yeah, I mean, who can remember all of last year?
A couple days ago.
I can't.
So I'm thinking of backups here, and I don't think it's the guy that caught all the passes, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to I'm going to go wild here. How about Harris, that backup tight end?
It was Demetrius Harris.
Yeah.
That is right. Well done. Well done. And also, when he caught the ball, typically you were kind of surprised that he ended up catching the ball. That was that throw right over the middle, 3rd down and 10 because the first couple of plays were incomplete.
Demetrius Harris.
Demetrius Harris. That's right. And it was a great throw by Patrick Mahomes. It was a brilliant throw by Patrick Mahomes. All right, that's the sports side, right? Leisure for
We
Shane.
have New Year Say Me, which is New Year's resolutions or New Year's questions, and we have riddles.
Let's go New Year's.
All right, we
Good
have
for
that
you.
one that is out there, which is in what 2 years did the Times Square ball not drop, or we can have a fresh one.
Since they've
Started,
since they've started dropping the news because Avery did get it correct.
Since ball started dropping in New York.
Yeah. Right. So roughly when they were 12.
I'm going to say if Avery can't get it, it's too tough, so I'm going to go ahead and take a different one.
Okay. People take a dip or a swim in a cold body of water on New Year's. That is called what?
That called called a polar plunge.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well done.
My jersey.
I didn't know they did that on New Year's. I didn't know that was a New Year's.
Yeah, my
tradition.
Jersey cousins do that. They, I don't.
There's a bunch of cousins that wear like sports jerseys.
The tall ones. Yeah, they're out there,
Okay.
and in the
cool.
wedding. Yeah, then by their jersey.
So is it a Jersey tradition?
I don't know, but it's a water tradition, I guess.
I mean, it would be odd if the polar
maybe
plunge
someone
was
in Galveston does
sand.
it too. Like maybe someone in Galveston.
I don't know. You can do that
by
in
water.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's really a polar plunge, though.
That's more like a lukewarm plunge.
That's more of a, hey, do you want to go swimming?
I don't know,
So
like
it's just like it's time to go swimming today. So maybe that's the case. I think that's a winner, right, Shane?
That's a winner.
Shane is one. Shane will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thanks, guys.
See, it's just that easy. 913-381-810. We take a timeout. We come back, continue rolling. More on next. Leisure 913-381-810, $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. Coming up at 3 o'clock, we've got the Sugar Bowl for you right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We hand it off to the program at 2 o'clock. They've got you till 3, and then the Sugar Bowl, and then that heads into the Gator Bowl tonight, Duke and Ole Miss. It's right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, your home for college football and the playoffs. We are playing some sports or leisure. Let's go to Ronnie next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ronnie, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
What were the other sports categories aside from the...
We have a general NFL. This is the other one today. Yeah, it's just a couple.
Only Chiefs question being the one I didn't pay attention to. That is nasty work. Okay, let's go. Is it easy, the one that's left, or?
There are two questions that are left in the Chiefs Broncos Mahomes debut game. Well, there's three questions left.
Yeah,
But
I didn't pay attention to that. I guess general NFL.
Okay, very good. Let's see. How old are you?
43.
43, okay. At my age. All right. Let's go with this one then. Aaron Rodgers this past weekend became the most sacked player in NFL history for a career. He was sacked 4 times. Which quarterback did he surpass? Most sacked player. Obviously, longevity is a big part of it.
Yep.
But the most sacked quarterback in NFL history was this guy, and now it's Aaron Rodgers. Of course, it's only because they didn't give him a first-round wide receiver.
The only reason why.
If they had a first-round wide receiver. Although I don't know that this guy had many first-round wide receivers in his very long career. Do you know who it is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, very good.
Was this
He wasn't
this guy a former Chief?
No, he was not.
Did he ever play with a lacrosse player?
Okay, I'm missing something there.
Did this guy play for a franchise that is not technically that franchise anymore?
No. Nope. It is still that franchise.
Oh. Okay. Well, I guess that would leave.
No, this guy had a very long career. Very long career.
Brett Favre. I'm just going to say Brett Favre. It's the only one I can think of. It was either Brett Favre, Warren Moon, or Dave Craig is what I was thinking, but I'm going to have to go with Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, not bad. Not a bad guess. He did get sacked a lot, but it was not Brett Favre.
It is a great guess.
Favre is interception.
Yeah, that's true, too.
I went out on my sword.
There you go. Absolutely. Thank you. Way to stick to your convictions, too. Ronnie, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. 913-381-810. Ryan, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. That question is out there, along with a couple of other Chiefs-Broncos Mahomes debut game, as the Chiefs will be heading to Denver, resting their starters, playing a backup quarterback like they did in Mahomes' first game as a Chief. Ryan, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do sports.
All right, we got Chiefs, Broncos, and we have general NFL.
Now let's try a Chiefs donkey question.
Okay, very good. We don't have one that's out there, right?
I don't believe so.
No, we don't. We got all of those answered correctly. All right, so let's go with this one. Who led the team with 10 catches for 147 yards? Sterling.
It wasn't
Albert Wilson.
Yes, it was Albert Wilson. You probably would have known that anyway, but it didn't help when Sterling earlier in the show was like, well, yeah, and Albert Wilson had like 10 catches and 147 yards. I mean, yeah,
Thanks, Sterling.
Yeah, really good game.
You're welcome. It's because I care about you.
Demetrius Harris was catching everything, including Mahomes' first pass.
I didn't say Demetrius Harris was catching everything. I said a guy who typically is not known for catching it, more so for dropping it, caught a pass.
All right, on over to leisure with Sterling.
New Year's Same Me, which is New Year's questions, or we have riddles.
Did anybody get that World War II question?
No one got that World War II question,
nice
baby.
Job,
yes.
Rhino.
1942 and 1943, Times Square ball did not drop because of World War II light restrictions.
Oh, that would be why. The light restrictions, not because the country was at war.
Yeah,
it was.
But
it
was
to restrict the light with not enough whale oil on the streets to light the lamps.
Wow, making jokes about World War II, Jason.
No, making jokes about not being able to run some lights to drop the ball. I mean,
No,
feels like they dropped the ball on that one.
They were rationing, probably.
Yeah, but that would be like that's. I mean, Dick Clark's there. You got a lot of. That's
somehow a Steve Harvey Lego sculpture still got spiked that day. Year.
That was going to be the first year of Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. Was that first year? But no, it didn't happen because of that. I feel like the morale of the country could have been boosted with having the Times Square ball being dropped. Ryan, that is a winner. We will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir.
All right, guys. Thanks. I love Lebo.
There we go.
I love Lebo, too.
I don't think you do. It's not what you just said in the previous segment. Let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Charles, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do that quarterback sack
question.
All right, very good. Aaron Rodgers is now the most sacked quarterback of all time. Who did he surpass with quarterback sacks?
Tom Brady.
It would be Thomas Brady. He's was the GOAT and the GOAT of sacks as well.
I said he played with a lacrosse player. Tom Brady played with a lacrosse player, Chris Hogan.
Oh. I was wondering what you were talking about with the lacrosse player.
I give good hints.
That's a terrible hint.
Dylan got it.
You'd have to remember Chris Hogan played on the Patriots, and then you'd have to remember Chris Hogan was a lacrosse player. Who cares about what sport Chris Hogan played besides football in his life?
Because the
It's
announcers apparently did, because every single game, it was hard to believe this guy was playing lacrosse.
Also, using me is the reason why using an obscure NFL player was a good idea. Isn't,
That guy goes to sleep in a football life, Chris Hogan.
Sorry, Dylan. You got it though, and that's fun for you and me.
Right.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's just my hint was he on the broadcast of this game this weekend?
Oh.
That was the hint that I gave while you were talking about Chris Hogan and lacrosse.
One of his defensive players loved wearing overalls. Vince
yes.
Wilfork.
Yeah, Vince Wilfork.
Yeah.
I got that one. Loves some Q as well. All right, Charles, on to the leisure side with Sterling.
What's available? What categories?
We have New Year Same Me, which is New Year's questions, and we have riddles.
Let's do the New Year's.
All right. What type of peas do people in the U.S. South eat on New Year's Eve for good luck in the new year?
In the South, huh?
What type of peas do people in the U.S.
Do
South
they
eat?
Do they listen to them while eating them?
They could.
Okay.
My parents made some actually
really
of these for the new year. Yeah.
Listening or eating?
Eating. They ate these.
But you could listen to them.
I asked my mom how they were, and she goes, "I would not make a meal out of it." I was like, all right, fair.
Okay.
I believe those are black-eyed peas, right?
There you go. See, you can listen to them while eating them. How about that, huh? That's crazy.
I'm a bee. Making those black-eyed peas.
Okay, very good. That is a winner. Charles will put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Love Lebo. Go Chase.
There
we
you go.
all love Lebo.
Again, not what you said last segment.
Don't tell him that.
Off the air. A little too late. Well, is he
I said
listening
I
or not?
liked Lebo off air.
Exactly. You said you did not say I love Lebo.
Yes,
you
I
said
liked
I
him.
appreciate and I am fond of the man.
Yeah.
Do I love him? I don't know. We're at that stage yet. Okay. I know I like him a lot, but that's a strong word.
Strong.
And the worst thing, you don't want to be the one that says it first, and then Lebo says thank you. That's what you were concerned about.
I was.
I get it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Last segment here of the day. We'll hand it over to the program coming up at 2 o'clock. They will head up till 3, and that's when the Sugar Bowl will take place right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Leading into the Gator Bowl, joined in progress. We talked a little college basketball today. We talked some college football with the playoff going on. Obviously, a lot of Chiefs talk today with the press conferences and Kent Swanson. College basketball as KU 0-1 in Big 12 play. K-State started off with a victory, 1-0. Mizzou gets their conference play underway on Saturday against the number 2 team in the land on the road against Auburn. If you want to know when the teams play this weekend, they all play at 3 o'clock. Mizzou, KU, K-State, and the Chiefs play at 3 o'clock this weekend. Saturday is Mizzou and K-State at 3 o'clock. Sunday, KU and the Chiefs at 3 o'clock. Chiefs 3:25, but KU at 3 o'clock at UCF. Bounce back game, get back rolling again, and the Chiefs will be in Denver. 913-912-4810. You know, while we've been here today in the new year, we've had a special guest that's been hanging out with us, Mitchell Carter, who has been shadowing us today. So everywhere I've walked, he has followed me. It got odd in the bathroom, but that's okay. Mitchell was here to learn, is what he was. Mitchell Carter, what's up, man? How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm Mitchell Carter. I go to California Trail. I'm an 8th grader, and I've been kind of shadowing you because I want to work around sports when I get older, and I think 810 Sports Radio is pretty cool, and yeah, I'm a crazy Chiefs fan. I love talking about sports. I love watching sports, playing it, and
you probably figured, look, if you're going to break into radio, let's see the easiest path. All right, what's the show that, like, if that guy can do it,
smart to not
anybody,
shadow Petro,
right? If that guy, if that guy can do it, I listen to sports radio. If that guy can do it, anybody. Let me see what this Jason Anderson's all about.
Kay's like, all right, so you think you know sports? What happened on the Monday of
1974 with the Royals and the Yankees, and who started on the mound that day? And Curtis will probably tell you that's the case.
It was Jim Abbott.
It was not. It was not Jim Abbott. I can promise you that. So you go to California Trail, 8th grader. So is it sports radio you want to be? Is it anything in sports broadcasting, play-by-play, TV? Is there a specific? I mean, as an 8th grader, you really got to figure out what your whole career path's going to be. I mean, if you don't figure it out by your freshman year in high school, then I don't know what to tell you. So clearly you're well ahead of the game by having an idea of what you want to be. But is there a specific part of it that you want to do?
Not really. I mean, I've seen like all these different like jobs that you can do around sports. I just know that I want to be like involved with it. I want to be able to say I watch football games for a living.
It's nice.
And,
it's a pretty good excuse when you have married and a family. Let me tell you, it comes in handy. And if my wife is listening, it's legit. I actually do have to watch it for my job.
I do have to watch the replay of the Cornhole Johnsonville Johnson sausage presented by SEC Network. I have to watch that.
Mrs. Holmes, he is lying about that, just as we know.
But it's an airmail.
Yes. But you know what's funny? It was when I was in high school, I said, whatever my job is, I don't want to have to miss a game because I got to work. Like, what can I do in life to where I'll never miss a game? Like, I get to watch the game because work does not ever get in the way of that. And 1510 had just started, and it was like, what is this sports radio thing? And we're driving around with my dad and brother in the car, and they're listening to people talk about sports. I'm like, this is weird. Like, that's what they do? They just talk? That's easy. Anybody could do that. Just talk about sports. But that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe I do something in radio. That seems like it's a pretty cool deal because I want to watch sports for a living.
Yeah.
So you're on the right path. Do you guys have anything at California Trail that you do in TV or anything like that as you kind of get your feet wet with this whole thing?
I've been taking a class, communications, which you get it's not just sports, but I end up making it sports a lot because that's like what I want to interview about. So the class has so much freedom in it. I mean, you partner up with somebody, and then they have like starting like basic equipment like cameras. We use Adobe Express to edit it. And Miss Cronin is a really nice teacher. She
shout out Miss Cronin.
Yeah.
Has she ever told you this assignment you can't do sports?
No. I don't
well
think
done,
she's-
Miss Cronin.
As
Well
long as
done.
it's school appropriate, she
Yeah.
doesn't really.
Because
that's tough.
Well, that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
Miss
hard.
Cronin. I mean, come on now. But that's something you may run into when it's not a sports specific class. You might have a teacher who goes, "Look, I know you're doing stuff with sports, but you can't do something with sports. You need to expand your," which may be cool for some, and maybe it's a good idea for teachers. But I appreciate that she's allowing you to explore your passion right now.
Yeah, we also get to so we make the news video, which we pump out a new one every week,
Nice.
and
that's sports for you, or is it they give you an assignment for that?
They give us an assignment
Yeah.
for that. I just get to pick what it's about.
Nice.
And then we also have like newspapers that we have every month, and yeah, you get to pick what that's about too. I mean, sometimes she'll
How long was
say-
the course of them explaining to you what a newspaper is?
It was pretty quick, and I mean, like, it's we're there's 7th and 8th graders in that class, so 8th graders tend to like skip her like instructions because we've already done it a year.
Oh, cool.
And,
Nice. What do you guys do when
So
you
you
skip?
haze the
Because I
7th
know
graders.
I know what I did when we skipped. What did you guys do when you? What do you do when you skip that?
Well, we just spend the whole class talking.
Oh, there you
like
go.
I
Great.
play Immaculate Grid, which
Oh, yeah,
is
Nice.
great game.
Yeah.
See, you clearly are not just fake when it comes to your sports fandom. You're an 8th grader playing Immaculate Grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you haze the 7th graders? Do you really let them know that, hey, we're now the big kid on campus?
I mean, that's.
I don't think I do that, but I
about
have a friend that definitely does that.
Man, well, don't say the name.
Don't say
How
the
about
name, yeah.
Sterling going there? How about Sterling?
What?
How much hazing's going on at California Trail? Let me get to the bottom of this. Thanks, Sterling. Like he's here to talk about what he wants to do, his career, his career path, and
I'm trying to glean if he would be a good boss or not. See?
Now I don't appreciate him winking when he was doing that the whole time, so that's fine. But no, he's a nice kid. Okay, I know the family. All right, his little brother plays basketball and football with my son. Okay, who's a better basketball player, Everett or Everett?
Are they both named Everett?
They're both named Everett. This is an easy answer for you. Who's a better basketball player, Everett or Everett?
Everett.
There you go. That's the answer. Now I'm not going to dig any deeper to ask you to
All right,
elaborate.
so which one's better?
No,
your
no,
brother
no.
or
That's not the
Jason's
question.
kid?
That wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. We're not going to put him on the spot.
Who's
That's
winning
blood.
one-on-one?
That's blood.
I'm not saying who's better. Who'd win one-on-one, though?
That's blood, man. He better say his brother. All right. So I mean, it's my blood. I'll say my son. If I was coaching, I would say the other one because that's what coaches have to do when you're the dad. Like little Everett and Mitchell, their father is one of the coaches. So he's required to say the other kid is better, even though in his heart of hearts he knows his kid is better. But that's the requirement as a coach when you've got a son on the team.
LeVar Ball would never.
That's different.
LeVar
There are
Ball
different requirements for
would
different
never.
people. Some people coach differently. So you're going to Olathe East next year?
Yep.
And so do they have like broadcasting stuff? Have you looked into that to get your career started early?
Yeah, they have a like communications class, and there's a bunch of like academies for different schools.
Nice.
Northwest has a really good communications program, which I decided not to do because I would much rather go to Olathe East because of the school.
Yeah, well,
in
that's
general,
fine too.
And like the location and everything like that, it's much easier. But I am doing the Design and Modeling Academy at
Nice.
Olathe East.
That's cool. Now, colleges, I mean, I know you're wearing a Kansas shirt, but I mean, Mizzou
Yeah,
is probably
Mizzou's pretty good at communications.
Pretty good. Yep, your dad right now is saying no. He's giving the incomplete sign right
Yeah.
now that that's not happening.
So, like, if I said MIZ, what would you say back?
Oh man, he's putting you on the. Your dad right now is about. I mean, how long do you want to be grounded? You are not required to say anything on the radio. Just so you know, you are not required to say anything.
Well,
Already being diplomatic. I like this.
I
he's
would
stalling.
say
He knows that he only has to. There's only 20 seconds here.
Just run the shot.
Stall.
if
Run another shot
Mizzou
clock.
gave me a scholarship, then
Oh yeah.
Great
heck
call.
yeah.
There we go.
Great call. See
Well
that?
done.
This kid, he's in 8th grade and he's already wiser than certainly myself and definitely Sterling and Dylan. See, Dylan pitched in college, so that's what his arm and your voice is going to do.
Not my brain.
Thank you, Mitchell. Appreciate it, brother.